What's going on, everybody? You are now tuned into Planetary HQ, the planetary headquarters for all of your celestial information. And today we are going to become Iarganauts because we are going to go over UFO contact from planet Iarga. In 1969, these otter people came down to planet Earth and made contact with a guy in the Netherlands. It's not a well-known contact case. It only was printed in a hardcover book, which was later copied onto the internet. And it's kind of hard to find these copies nowadays. There are absolutely no YouTube videos on the subject, so we're deciding to make a video ourselves.
I'm on a podcast right now.
Welcome if you're a new listener. Hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys are enjoying everything that we're going to have to offer. If you're a returning viewer, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. You know me, D-Bake the Wise, Deadrick Baker. The music cut out there for a second on my end, so screwed with me.
Sorry.
Because you muted yourself. No, it's all good. I was like, oh, shit. But that happened when I was greeting the new viewers. So if you're a new viewer, new listener, welcome. We're going ham. We do like a little cosmic road trip kind of thing where we kind of visit new planets, visit new subjects, and we try to correlate all these cosmic data points so that you can understand it better and we can all synthesize it together. If you're returning, of course, welcome back. Planet Iarga. Magma's been talking about this for a long time. We've been trying to get it on the channel, and we've kind of like, should we make it a regular video? Should we live stream it? And we finally decided to live stream it. So here we are. Like I said, we're probably going to be the first and only video about the subject on YouTube because we just checked and there is none. There's only like a couple of shorts recorded. So you're the only person who's read it. Give us a little backstory, dog.
Yeah, I'm excited to jump into this one. There are tons of these UFO contact books that were published throughout the 70s and 80s. Each one a different UFO contact encounter with someone else telling their story. But this one book, UFO Contact from Planet Iarga, stands out among the rest. It's an extraordinary encounter, very unique. The contactee was a highway infrastructure engineer, highly trained and specialized in engineering disciplines, so maybe he had a mind to receive what the Iargans wanted to tell him. But they allegedly provide him with a very detailed account of their society, their whole civilization, their infrastructure. He ended up contracting an artist to draw out these illustrations and diagrams of cross-sections of their buildings, their vehicle, transportation system, their flying saucers, how they work. It's very thought-provoking. The second half of the book, they go into their philosophy, and it gets pretty wild, very esoteric. We could probably connect it with tons of other things we read on this channel. So this is going to be a fun journey.
Yeah. These Iargans looking buff, looking like Captain America.
Yeah.
The Avenger lineup.
I'm excited for this. I think one of the things we were talking about earlier is like one of the, I guess, specialties that we want to hone in on and that we do hone in on this channel is really like, what do the aliens believe about the universe? What are their concepts? And so we look for the best contact cases. We look for the best channelings. But it's kind of unique because, you know, some of the stuff we read, you could say is like from a channeled source where it's still kind of coming through a human. You don't really see the beings that are involved per se. But in this case, there's like a rarer set where there's like physical beings involved. And of all the abduction cases in that world, it's hyper rare to get like a long extended interaction with these aliens and to actually like get I guess a communication or a long description, especially because like if they're telepathically speaking to you, you know, people talk about having missing time, being in altered states of consciousness. It's quite confusing. So I'm curious, like how did the Iargans even transmit this information? Did they give them a translator? You know, but these are the cases that, you know, I want to explore because I want to know what the aliens think.
Yes, sir.
That's what I want to know. I want to know what the aliens think. It's nice that we have craft. It's nice that we have orbs, but I want to know what they believe and what their culture is. How did this little green man grow up? Sorry, how did this otter being grow up? Because we're talking about the Iargans, but there's only so much that you could only so many questions you can ask pertaining to the crafts. Like when a craft lands in front of you, and let's say you analyze it top to bottom and you know it perfectly, now what? Now you're going to want to know who created the craft. How did that being come to be? What's their society like? How did their society get to the point where they got the ability to create this craft? And why did they create this craft? What are their motivations? That's what's more important to Planetary HQ. And I feel like that topic needs to be spoken about a lot more in society. So orb tourism, check, we do that. Craft fetish, check, we do that. But what about the cosmic philosophy? What about the meat and potatoes, the social aspects of these creatures? So hopefully we can connect some of those dots today, and that this Iarga expedition is going to be fruitful. So let's hit this shit. I say we just jump into it.
Yeah.
Right in.
UFO contact from planet Iarga. See this little pretty otter man right here? You know, I'm a straight male, but if I wasn't, and I was into otters,
That's a hunky otter right there.
He's a hunky otter, man. I do like his golden straps. Very nice. It reminds me of some type of is he? Oh my god, dude! Is that a SS bolt? I see. Oh no, otter Nazis! I see a little lightning bolt on his. But again, see, that's me projecting my humanness onto his space fashion. So
Could be Harry Potter.
It's obviously not.
He could be a wizard, Harry, with the lightning bolt.
Wow.
I like this.
He
I
got
like
hit in the
this.
shoulder
He
instead
got
of
this
the
nose.
forehead.
His nose bone goes kind of like up the head. That's pretty fire. That might be able to tell us what type of evolutionary species the source was, if it has any similarity to any Earth mammals. I don't know, otter. I don't know. I guess I don't think of like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What has
I'm
a
wondering,
lobe going down the center of their head like that?
It's a pretty unique morphology, which this book does go into detail describing. They kind of describe their evolutionary history, and they were kind of otter-like mammals, living in the sea, inventing boats to get around, little engines.
Do they compare themselves to otters?
I can't quite remember if they made that comparison or if he made the comparison based on what they showed him of their kind of evolutionary ancestors, kind of how we would point at primates. They pointed to some kind of otter-looking mammals.
Dope. Yeah. All right. Who's
Well, I think no, I mean that's kind of normal. I'll share my screen for a second. So this is a skull of a gorilla right here.
Yeah. Kind of divided.
And
jaw muscles maybe.
For the people, I think it's in the Year Ranch book. What does it say? Bipedal, is that how you pronounce it?
Might be one word or a dash in there.
Yeah, I think it's one word.
I think it's one word too.
Just search for pedal.
It's not finding it.
Or biped.
Biped.
Biped, you think so? Biped.
You're looking for the quote about like why there's. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. There it is. Thank you. Yeah, that's an erect, upright. Cool. So this is from the Ranch book. It's just talking about all of the different types of planets. They all have an evolutionary schematic and an evolutionary program that they run on their planets. And this starts from a single cell and it evolves into a will creature, a creature that has will, a creature that has the ability to recognize itself and the creator. Okay, that's what denominates a will creature. Animals can't recognize the creator. Therefore, they're not will creatures, as smart as they may be. That's for a different conversation. So every planet on our universe evolves from a single cell up into a will creature. And it says right here for part 4, evolutionary will creatures, there are great differences between the mortals of the different worlds, even among those belonging to the same intellectual and physical types. But all mortals of will dignity are erect animals, bipeds. Ooh, super controversial. I know that people, squid people, all this kind of stuff. And, it doesn't say, I mean, kind of, it does say directly right there. They're all bipeds, but there might be some exceptions out there. You don't know. There could be intelligent jellyfish. I don't know for sure, but
They could look like
makes sense.
Squidward, walk around on 2 tentacles.
You're right. So jellyfish, but also biped. Okay, I could see that.
Yeah. Also,
you're
doesn't it
fusing
say
the rules? I like it.
the Fandors were kind of like close to evolutionary? Yeah, I mean, it says they were pretty smart.
Those are biped though.
I guess they would be considered biped. I didn't know if birds with 2 legs are
like chickens are bipeds.
Classifies. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so this is a fun learning moment for the people. So the Socrates human bird. Let's see. What is this? Okay. So when Plato gave Socrates' definition of man as featherless bipeds, and was much praised for the definition. So back in the Roman times, this is a story about Diogenes. You know who Diogenes is?
No.
So he was a philosopher back in the day, but he was known as a troll philosopher. So all like the big aristocratic philosophers would have these high thoughts, and he'd come in and pick them apart with stupid little arguments. He refused to gain money for his thought thinking, and all the youth thought he was the true smartest guy in the city, not Socrates or Plato.
Yeah.
One time the emperor came to him, and he was like living in a barrel. He chose like nothing. He totally disregarded the financial materialistic point of view and said it was all about philosophy and spirituality. He's like living in a barrel. He would live anywhere he wants in the city. People would take him in. And like the emperor came to him and was like, Diogenes, I need your wisdom. Please, I have a big question. Something about like if you answer this question, I will make you the richest man in Rome. And I guess Diogenes was in the sun, and the Roman emperor was in his way. And he looked at the emperor, and instead of answering the question, he goes, "You're in my sunlight. Can you move, please?" And everybody was like, and then he didn't say anything else to the Roman emperor because he just wanted his sunlight. But whatever, super troll. A lot of stories about him. People love him. So Plato and Socrates gave this definition to the public, and we're the smartest people. This is the definition of a man. It's a featherless biped. And Diogenes walked up, plucked a chicken, made it naked, and brought it to the Plato's academy and saying, "Behold, I brought to you a man." And then after this incident, they put with broad, flat nails. That's the definition.
Broad, flat nails.
Because, yeah, these are early times where the first people were actually trying to add like standardized definitions to real like things. And
how do you define a human?
Initial science and philosophy, yeah. So Diogenes is a great one. Yeah, it's oh shit. Right, here goes. My favorite is the first quote. Alexander the Great found the philosopher looking attentively at a pile of human bones. Diogenes explained, "I'm searching for the bones of your father, but cannot distinguish them from those of a slave." Damn.
Ooh, that is hard.
Yeah, see, so he was a heavy hitter.
All right,
he was there to remind people. But I was talking about that as an example because of this skull. You know,
wow.
what is a human? You said what a biped. You know, and I thought of that funny learning moment because a chicken's cool. A biped. You know, and a bird's a biped. But this, what I guess homo. I don't know what the Latin word is for a fucking gorilla, but a gorilla, and it has that sagittal crest, that gorilla ridge, and that's where the jaw muscles connect to, so that it has leverage. So it has such a strong clamping force.
Yeah.
I don't know what you call it, but humans have one too. If you look at a human skull, we have a small sagittal crest that our jawbones connect to too. See,
yep. Apparently these Iargans were carnivorous. They live off of fish.
See, like how humans' heads go to a point.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
a sagittal keel. Yeah, it's not as pronounced. We don't have nearly the jaw strength as these gorillas. The stronger the jaw strength you have for all animal, the largest your sagittal crest will be, because that's literally where the tendons connect to. And I know we're taking it seriously, guys, because that's what we do here. These Iargans, they seem to have that, right? They seem to have this sagittal crest. And you're right. Tying all, like, that's why we're here for Planetary HQ. That's why you're listening. That's why you're subscribed, so that you can connect all these different data points. The Urantia book talks about these bipedals. We're looking at the human skull, the gorilla skull, and we're connecting it to these bipedal otter-like beings. So just off the gate, is this plausible? It's looking like it, you know?
Looking like it so far. Since we're talking about the Urantia book, I would imagine the life carriers that engineer life and kind of follow regular patterns on different worlds, they probably do have almost like a book they draw from of different patterns, tried and true, that work, that they follow. And there's got to be a reason for the bipedal form, right? Standing upright. Well, I shared an image in the chat here. This is pretty interesting. It shows a comparison between the human chakra system and a Tesla coil. And it kind of appears that the spine needs to be upright for us to kind of have this aligned energy system. So our head acts as like a radio transmitter receiver. Our
Yes.
spinal column in our brain is like an antenna. Um, Likewise, you can kind of see a similar structure laid out in this image of the solar system having a spark gap and all that. And so it's interesting. It looks like animals evolve in a world. They have 4 legs or 6 legs or 8 legs, whatever. But once they reach a point where uh, they can stand upright, you really only need 2 legs for that, then your other limbs for arms. So there could be aliens with 8 arms out there, who knows? But it makes sense why that would be a necessity. I know that also freed up just standing upright in the academic evolutionary perspective was to I forget the exact reasoning, but apparently that directly contributed to the expansion of our brain. It was actually able to grow because we're standing upright. Something with the morphology of it.
And gang.
Checks out. Check the fuck out. So
Pretty cool.
let's start ripping into it. And shout out to the chat. We are reading everything you're saying. Definitely want to check out what these plasma-like entities, and if they follow a similar morphology, be very interesting. I actually am starting to switch to the terminology of calling astral beings or astral bodies bodies and plasma beings. Because I think if you were to actually meet like a Morantia being, they'd be plasma. Like Morantia is plasma. So I think that's why that plasma physicist just got killed, right? You guys heard about that? He got murked. And he was tied into one of the most like top secret plasma physicists, and he solved a 50-year equation that couldn't be broken. It was like put out by like the CIA and DARPA to see who can compress plasma strong enough to like create fusion and then have it also like self-assemble and self-organize. Because, you know, self-organizing plasma, a lot of people are using this as evidence that plasma is intelligent. And I guess I forget the unit of what they call a unit for a magnet. What is it? Like
Torrs?
What is it?
No, that's pressure. Tesla?
Magnetic Tesla, yeah, Tesla. 50 Tesla. And which is like way stronger than the Earth's magnetic field. I think the Earth's magnetic field is what, a couple Tesla, not that very much. 50 Tesla fields combining plasma, so it's like pushing it super hard like a sun, because the sun's made of plasma, and then causing like fusion and fission. I think fusion reactions that can keep self going like a star. So I think that's like the next stage. And I think the TR-3B and the secret like anti-grav vehicles use those engines a la or Q Ashton Forbes, you know?
No, I guess I would wonder like how many of those scientists that like appear to abruptly die are actually like, I don't know if they like they go secret, like they stay. I picture like maybe they're given a choice, and they kind of like are pressured. They're like, look, we'll give you the resources to work on this the rest of your life, but because of such a large discovery, we need you to go like off the map, like off the grid. We're gonna fake your death, like the whole 9 yards, because of all the implications. Like, look, you're gonna be employed forever. You're gonna have a team to work on this, but you know, you got to disappear.
Deep underground military base for you for the rest of your life, or like passport somewhere, different country. Yeah, I truly think that's what happens if like you get that secret access to that deep plasma intergalactic space core secret program intelligent shit. They fake your death and take you in.
Yeah, because they don't want you to like interact in the normal science world, I guess, and give away like your research or interact with the public science world and talk about your discoveries. It's all got to be locked up in, you know, secret programs.
Well, what's weird is that like 2 weeks or a week before the guy died, Trump like dumped a shitload of money into plasma confinement through magnetic fields.
Really?
And like people are connecting the two as like, did Trump order the hit? But
Oh.
maybe it's
No,
more
he
like
ordered
what
the
we're
money,
saying as
and
he ordered the money, and you know what I'm
and
saying?
the guy
They're
is
like,
like on the
okay.
program, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, interestingly
Dang, we
enough,
going deep already, dog. Come on now. Let's
already
go.
it's hard not to. This, if you pull up this image I shared in the chat, you can also see it in the thumbnail, something similar, this cross-section diagram of the flying saucer. The Iargans describe plasma confinement here. They basically have particle accelerators,
way.
synchrotron storage rings, one on the top and one on the bottom. One going clockwise.
Talk about plasma confinement? Damn, dude.
They got 4 orbs in there.
See Ashton's granddad fucking working on the ship. You gotta ask him if has some Netherlands blood in him. Dutch blood.
Yeah. That's fire.
But yeah, let's start reading. All right.
Yeah.
Introduction. If you like what we're talking about so far, hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to support the cause, we have super chats, gifts, all that stuff. You know, we like to eat food and drink beers. So if you want to help out with that, that would help. And moving along, plowing ahead. Introduction. This is a true story of a UFO contact from a planet called Iarga by the alien astronauts visiting our Earth. They say that their sun is about 10 light years as we count time from us, and that they have been observing us for some time. The story was first published in Dutch by Anke Hermes of Deventer, Netherlands in 1969, and has gone through 11 editions and 40,000 hardbound copies in Dutch since then. It has been published as science fiction up to now because the publisher originally felt that this story would not sell as fact. Ooh, that's hot. Nevertheless, it is a true account of real events, and we are publishing it as such. Here, for the first time, together with the very extensive follow-on data as the contacts continued right up to the present time. We have investigated this case extensively for over the past 4 years and conclude that the facts do in reality verify and support the story. Talking big talk over here.
Yeah.
The witness is a very well-educated and highly articulate master mechanical engineer and an architectural artist as well. A rare combination ideally suited for this contact if the alien visitors wanted their information to be understood and presented with any degree of accuracy. The witness is also a well-known multinational industrialist in Europe, whose real name would be immediately recognized. Oh yeah? Oh yeah? Okay, well, fucking Rothschild?
Maybe in the Netherlands in the 60s, I suppose.
Some great architect.
Rothschilds, like some...
Industrialists.
Industrialists, yeah. Bankers, what? He is the owner of several companies doing international business. To preserve his identity in order to protect his private life, we are using a pseudonym given him by the extraterrestrials themselves. They refer to him as Stef van den Erd, which means Steph of the Earth, from which the name Stefan den Erd was derived. Okay, so it's a clever name, a play on words of Stefan den Erd, Steph of the Earth. Stefan den Erd.
That's plausible.
When I first met this man,
calling him that, Steph of the Earth.
Yeah, and that's weird. You see that type of naming even in the Urantia book, you know, like
yeah, like Michael of Nebadon.
Exactly. Yep. Michael of Nebadon, all this kind of stuff. Van of Urantia. Amidon, stand on move.
Once you go cosmic, names become so relative. You need another locational attachment. And so, they say that the angels are known by number, not name, right? And, a lot of people in the cosmos, when you're on the different system capitals, they would reference, like, they would know the name Urantia as one of the 36 rebellion planets. And so, you tag, like, someone from Urantia or, planet 606 in the or even our sector it calls our sector Satania, but really the word Satan means adversary. So we are known as the adversarial section, because that name of that angel is now so considered that the name of the actual name. Well, again, I guess I say if angels don't have names, that's another reason why it's a bit of a confusion there. Yeah.
It would be like we have 5 trillion Taylor versers in our cosmic registry, so you are Taylor verser of Earth.
Right.
Yeah, and even
You
that
narrow
gets
it down.
fucking to the 1 trillion Taylors that have been alive. But yeah, very clever. Michael of Salvington. Yeah, Michael of Nebadon. You see this type of naming. So I second I read that, I'm like, okay, another data point that checks out. And again, these people could have all read the Urantia book and just fucking fanfic, but let's go. And if he was like a deep state industrialist banking guy, maybe he did have access, or this is a CIA, disinformation campaign. But I'm just throwing all the things on the table, baby. When I first met this man, I was surprised by his size. He is a big man, about 6'4", weighing about 220 to 230. He dresses conservatively in expensive business suits and is very courteous and polite. He is mild-mannered and introspective by nature and speaks with almost perfect economy of words. He says what he means and means what he says. In discussions, he is not given to elaboration and volunteers little information by himself. He answers questions forthrightly, directly, and honestly, and looks one right in the eye as he speaks. He is not known to tell fictitious stories, but is considered to be a model of truthfulness and integrity.
It's
That's
funny.
He lives in an
They were like, we're not going to reveal who he is, and then they put a picture of him.
I know, right?
Maybe that's what the PDF person did. I don't know if this is in the original book.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Well, interesting. Okay.
Because in the 90s, someone did find him and no, actually that was the late 60s, but someone did find him and interview him, so I guess he couldn't maintain his secrecy for too long.
Yeah, because this PDF was created after a bunch of readings, so people probably have looked out for him, and what we're reading now is their compilation of finding him plus the actual text. Pretty cool. I don't know. If you're related to this guy, reach out. Fucking talk about it. You know anything about your weird uncle or great grandfather you heard stories about? We'd like to know.
Mm-hmm.
He used to live in an upper class, quiet neighborhood in a professional suburb of Den Haag. His home on a beautiful tree-lined street looks to have $150,000 to $200,000 of value, and is well maintained and beautifully landscaped. It faces a park reserve across the street from him. What the fuck, dude? What am I reading? Do the viewers give a fuck about this? Sorry, guys. I could just read you a magazine. The neighborhood looks scrubbed clean. Dean? Yeah. This man was not a UFO buff and has no collection of UFO books and journals. He does not lecture or talk on his experience publicly or privately. He does not write articles or give interviews. He does not believe in the phenomenon and had gone to no pains to evaluate before his own contact. He still does not believe in UFOs as such. His experience was real and was identified in all caps. In the long course of contact discussions, he learned a great deal about our real history, and where we have been and where we are going, how we fit into this great universe. He found that our written histories are not very accurate because of our constant revisions by different regimes. He was shown a future course of events in store for us if we do not change our ways, and was shown how fixed we are in our course and the improbability that we will change in time. He is saddened and discouraged by our lack of real progress and feels that revelation of this information is a needless and ineffective burden for a self-destructive humanity. He does not see us changing in time. The first book, Buitenaardsdagweg, printed in Dutch, is an account of the contact experience up to the departure of the spacecraft the following day. The contacts continued, however, and a vast amount of technical information was communicated to the witness over the next several months and even years. The Iargans compared their society and their philosophies to ours and described advanced technologies, man's place in the greater universe, and what is in store for all of us in the future. These communications continued and ultimately developed into a sort of mechanical transmission from a technical device aboard the spacecraft to the mind of the witness, something like the way it was done during his visit aboard the spacecraft in the Utschild, except that now the pictures were transmitted to his mind instead of viewing them on a screen. Ideographic cybernetics from the Keys of Enoch. Let's go. Telepathy. Unknown to the witness, however, and this will be news to him when he sees it in print for the first time, communications experts working with NATO and defense systems had picked up a strange incoming RF radio frequency, electronic signal in the vicinity of a high-security NATO defense installation in the Netherlands, and became very disturbed about the nature and purpose of this transmission. It was in an unusual bandwidth and had a strange character. It also was only detectable within a limited area in the Den Haag. The Haag near where the sensitive installation is located. Haag or Hague, however you pronounce it, depending on where you're from. So, I mean, nigga. If you're from the north or the south, the east or the west. NATO intelligence, believing this may be an attempt to interfere with the defense installation and its equipment, moved hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of highly sophisticated detection equipment into the area to try to find out what was happening. It seems now that this strange signal would begin about 4 o'clock p.m. and continue for an hour or more several days each week. Now, before this information came to light, my interviews with the witnesses had shown that his contacts were coming in several days each week on a more or less regular basis. The witness's habit was to come home from his office about 3 p.m. daily, read his personal mail, relax in his living room for a while, and then relax in his living room for a while. Often, he was contacted. The telepathic transmission would begin about 4 o'clock p.m. and would continue for an hour or more. This straight man, this happens to me. Should I just pull out a piece of pen and paper and start writing shit down? Because it happens to me, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Keep walking. Keep making my sandwich. I'll text Angela. No.
Trying to contact you.
I'll write your book.
This strange coincidence became of paramount importance when I learned that the search for the strongest signals was taking them only a few blocks from this man's home, where he was receiving the contacts. Whoa. Huh. I don't know whether they have identified the source of the transmissions yet or not, and I don't know yet if there was any other transmission that may have occupied this time period by pure coincidence. In either case, I am sure that I would not be advised because intelligent information usually goes only one direction. One of particular interest in this case is the fact that this witness was told by the Iargan visitors themselves that their group had contacted 4 other Earth humans in a similar manner. Ooh, this is where it's getting
other
spicy.
People out there. Let's get them.
Let's go. What's up? Let's find them. And had imparted similar information to each of them. And that once one of them got into print and became known, the others would make an attempt to contact him. This will certainly be a curious validation if any one of these others do in fact turn up. These contacts are still continuing on a lesser schedule, and an unbelievable amount of information has been imparted to this man. Alrighty, that's cool. Cool, fuck yeah, dude. They say he's 9 feet tall. Are you kidding me? That has to be. No, that's wrong.
Oh, 9 meters tall.
Even bigger than, isn't that bigger than 9 feet?
That's way bigger than meters tall. Are you kidding me? A meter's like 3 feet.
Yeah, they described him as 6'4".
Straight up Anunnaki. And they know there's a lot of correlation to the fact that people with celestial bloodlines, I hate saying it like that, people who have a high amount of celestial DNA are more capable of receiving contacts, and that the aliens that are hovering above Earth in spaceships are actively looking for people who are more receptive to this. And the people who are more receptive to this tend to have more genetics in their blood from Anunnaki or Adam and Eve. So, maybe that's why he's a towering 6'5". I'm not saying that those being, like, if you're tall, you have celestial blood. I'm not saying that. I'm just, just trying to put some pieces together.
Hmm.
Because the Anunnaki and Adam and Eve, they were taller, right? They were like what, 8-9 feet?
Yeah.
8-9 feet tall. Yeah. But they also say there is a gigantic strain amongst the Sangik races that also caused us to be 8-9 feet tall on our own, just because we were like that. So
Interesting
trying to
point.
put all the facts on the table so that the viewer can make their own understanding. But yeah, who wants to pick up forward from the author?
Yeah, I'll
I'm gonna
pick
get
that
to the
up.
meat and potatoes. Yeah, fucking just skip this shit, dog. I don't want to spend time on this.
The forward.
Just
I mean, the
gonna, like,
forward is from the contactee, right? Or is
All
that
right.
no?
Yeah,
Or is
that
it
might
from
be.
the English guy that helped translate it?
Yes,
It might be
I
actually from the
believe.
English guy.
Let's see.
I feel
I'll
like yeah, he's just
Is
gonna
the-
explain shit that we already explained to our viewers on the channel. Like this Earth,
Yeah.
be prepared because this is an alien contact, and we're gonna reveal information. Like, yeah, that's why people are tuned into the video. But
Yeah, I think we can skip. We could skip to the past the forward here because the forward.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll
is
go ahead and pick up at the next part. All right. Part 1, Identification. This part includes the initial contact with the extraterrestrial visitors and the nearly 8 hours of events and discussions that took place aboard the alien spacecraft, as the witness was shown and experienced scenes and conditions in the life of the Yargans, both on their home planet and in their spacecraft. Chapter 1, Confrontation.
oh
Iarga,
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Confrontation, baby. Base
Confrontation.
lasers. Star Wars, SDI, Reagan.
babies.
Iarga. I can talk about it now. The fascinating dusky green planet with its somber pink sky is no dream, but just a moment. I must first sort out the mass of information gained during my astounding experiences and relate it logically and coherently. I need to do this for myself as well. Any explanation of my chaotic memories may help me to become my old self again. It is difficult for me to remember the man I used to be. How I felt that beautiful summer evening on board my yacht that
Jesus
drifted like a huge white swan on the windless waters of Oost-Schild, in art of the sea in the southwestern delta
This
of
is
the
fucking
Netherlands.
hilarious, dude. Like,
Very
yo,
poetic.
bro, tell me about your UFO contact.
Tell me about the
He looks at
alien.
you and goes,
Well,
"It's
in
difficult for
when
me
I
to
was a
remember the man
child,
I used to be." Dude, no, shut the fuck up. I said the UFO contact.
Hey, Dad,
It
do
all
you
started
know?
when my mom was born.
Yep. Oh,
I think it's just when
tell the
people
whole
go to write
story.
a memoir, they want to give some
Yeah,
sort of
they
background
want
to help people
backstory,
believe
yeah.
them. I guess
No.
that's
Yeah.
is definitely
It
part
just
of
always takes so long to
Make it
get into.
relatable. Hey, Dad, do you know that the compass is broken? I took no notice. It was probably just one of my son's childish jokes. I sat stretched out in a deck chair,
Ooh.
contentedly sipping my coffee and surveying the distant coast of Schoenduiveland, an island in the delta, where we planned to arrive before dark. On the small strip of land above the horizon, I could see the light that marked the harbor entrance at Brugluis. Honest, Dad, it's broken. Come and look, persisted my son. Still disbelieving, I forced myself to stand up and walked over to where my wife, son, and small daughters were standing looking at the compass as though they had never seen it before in their lives. Something was definitely wrong. The map was hanging at a crazy angle, but worse still, the north indicator was pointing in the direction of the Zealand Bridge, to the east. I looked accusingly at the discoverer of the trouble. It wasn't out of the question that my youngest son was playing a joke on his father with a magnet. I was disappointed to find that this was not the case, and so I started a serious investigation. In the meantime, Miriam did the dishes and put the children to bed. By the time I decided to return to Bergluis on the motor, it was getting quite dark, and the fact that I had been unable to find the cause of the trouble irritated me immensely.
I'm not trying to mean to cut you off, but I'm looking for it right now. Hopefully I can find it. Keep reading, but there's a UFO contact case where a guy claims it happened and he had a compass on him and the compass flipped north to south. And people were like, what the fuck? And they had a backwards compass and even brought it to like a military base and they looked at it and they were like, how did this happen? And they would like use a lot of money to try to replicate it. And they were able to replicate it, but they said they were only able to do that by suscepting the compass to extremely high magnetic fields, which kind
It
of
makes
backs up
sense. The
what he
flight
was
software
doing.
would probably have some crazy magnetic field, so it's close by.
Flipped it exactly, and this is exactly. Hey, Dad, do you notice the compass is broken? The second he said
Ooh.
that, you heard me. I was like, "Ooh,
I guess the
that's
chills.
weird." Yeah.
Miriam was right in saying that I should not let the compass spoil such a beautiful day, but I could not rest until I knew what was wrong. Ah well, I could do that in the harbor. I pushed the Jalk, an off-world, flat-bottomed sailing ship, at full power through the darkness of the Ortschild. There was a light buoy. I read the number automatically and turned sharply to port. In the distance lay the next buoy, marking the channel to Bergluis. About 6 miles, and we would be home, but things didn't go quite the way I had planned. Something unbelievable happened. Suddenly, out of the darkness, a strong blue-white searchlight shone in my eyes from a point directly in front of the bow, and at the same time I heard a high-pitched whining noise above the noise of my motor. My heart pounded. I came so unexpectedly. I came so unexpectedly that it
Damn,
that was a
again,
very
sexy.
intense sound. That it must have been several seconds before I acted.
How do you reach these jargons again? Asking
Just
for a friend.
yeah, right. Reverse, full power. Damn, it was too late. With a frightening noise, the chalk came to a standstill against something solid. But what? Who on earth would be in the middle of the channel without lights? With shaking hands, I stopped the motor, and in the sudden stillness, saw the startled face of Miriam appear in the cabin doorway. Is anyone there? I yelled over the water. In answer, the light went out, but no reply. Miriam came on deck, and behind her stood the children, wide-eyed with fear. Look, there. That flat thing in the water. It looked like the hull of an overturned ship or pontoon, but we were at least 30 feet away and couldn't possibly have hit it. Whatever it was. Is anyone there? I called a second time. The searchlight flashed on again. The strangely small beam of light swept over the water and cast a cold glare on the side of the chalk. I caught my breath. Floating on the incoming tide was a body, face down, apparently dead. The actions that followed were carried out at nerve-wracking speed. There was only one thought in my mind, to do something quickly, before the body drifted away into the darkness. Instinctively, I carried out the motions that I had so often gone over in my mind in the event of one of the children falling overboard. Seconds later, I jumped overboard with the line from my lifeboat in my hand. But what now? I was standing in less than 3 feet of water, with my knees and ankles hurt from landing on something as hard as steel. In my confusion, I saw the line from the dinghy drifting away. I stood up and dived to catch the rope, and swimming with the small boat behind me, managed to grab the body. It wouldn't move. How would I get such a weight into the boat? First, tie the rope around him, climb into the boat myself, and pull his head above the water. Yes, that was it. Just then, an alarm signal began to sound somewhere in the back of my mind. What kind of man was this? He was wearing a kind of metallic suit, and around his head was a rubbery ball which reflected the blue light so strangely that I was unable to see his face. I began to think about astronauts, but how on earth did he come to be in the Ortschild? I started the outboard motor and began slowly back toward the chalk. But what now? What should I do with this strange burden beside me? Why had I gone to all this trouble? My indecision grew by the minute. The
This
blue
is
light.
weird. So this isn't like a traditional contact case or like he's channeling or nothing. This is how it all started right here. He finds this passed out space guy in the water and tries to save him.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, in the middle of this lake, he's standing like 3 feet underwater on a large metallic surface.
The guy is
Yeah,
the spaceman.
when he gets out of his boat to retrieve the body, he
Oh, like
lands.
that
He thought
picture
it was
right
like a
there.
boat in the water, he said, but then it's actually like there's a guy inside of it. I kind of missed that somehow.
You can
Or
actually
is it
see
the
in that.
guy that he sees?
That picture that you made for that you extended with the AI, is that them standing on the boat?
I'm not
No,
sure. I
that's
think
them
you're
on a
right.
planet, I think.
Actually, yeah, that is them. You can kind of see some waves at the bottom of that image, and
Yeah.
they're standing on
Oh,
something metallic just over the water. And if you scroll up to that kind of cheesy looking
you're
painting
right.
from 2001, you can see him in his boat and the searchlight, and it being standing there kind of waiting in the water like it's shallow, even though it's in the middle of the lake.
So are they
So there's
just
like
standing up, frozen, like
uh,
not
the,
moving? And she goes
the,
up and is like, "That's
uh,
weird."
he grabs a body that's floating in the water and hauls it onto his little
Interesting.
boat. But then apparently, maybe it'll say later on, you can see these beings observing, just kind of waiting on what looks like a giant submerged craft just barely poking out of the water.
And so those two are watching her rope another guy floating.
It's a guy. It's this guy, Stefan Denard.
No, I'm saying like those two that are sitting on in this picture right here that are standing on the craft. They're watching him rope another guy who's floating in the water.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
This is weird. So they're obviously in distress or something. This isn't a traditional contact case. This is weird.
They're pretending just to get his
Unless
attention.
They're pretending.
Yeah, are they baiting us?
It could be. The blue light made it plain that I must carry on. It was kept in my direction by someone who followed the rescue closely from beginning to end. But what did they want? In terrible confusion, I came at last alongside the chalk, tied up the dinghy, and stopped the outboard. In the silence, I heard the voices of Miriam and my eldest daughter. Thank goodness everything was all right there. Then my peace of mind received its death blow. There was suddenly a sea of light, a great diffused light under the surface of the water. A sound made me turn toward the strange object in the water, and I saw a dark shape wading quickly toward me. It was a perfect copy of the being I had fished out of the water. With the same shiny metallic suit and a transparent ball around its head, step by step, it came closer, and I instinctively grabbed the boat hook to defend myself. He held out an arm in a friendly gesture and turned his face toward me. I sprang back as though bitten by a snake. A wild fear cut off my breath. It was a nightmare, a terrible, indescribable feeling that took hold of me. The being in front of me was not human. An animal-like face with large square pupils in the eyes which were both hypnotic and self-assured. It struck me like a thunderbolt. Here I stood, facing an alien being from a race more intelligent than my own. But why was I still so afraid? I could not explain. If it had been a gorilla, for example, then I would have quickly sprung on board my ship and put up a fight with the boat hook to prevent the animal from coming on board. There would have been no time for the fear that came from the feeling of helplessness and recognition of his superiority. The fear grew into panic, a panic which told me to get away from there as quickly as possible before it was too late. I sprang overboard again and raced through the shallow water toward the ship as though the devil were at my heels. Panting, I pulled myself on board and started the motor. Reverse full power. I wanted to get away from there as quickly as possible. The ship didn't move an inch. Over the bow, I saw the being pull the dinghy onto the dark platform, lift the body in his arms, and walk away with robot-like steps. It suddenly went dark, and they were gone. With a feeling of apprehension, I stopped the motor. The situation on board was surprisingly peaceful, for they had no idea of the real drama. There was a feeling of satisfaction over Father's ability as a lifesaver. A quick note here, this was mentioned earlier. There are some awkward phrasing from the translation from Dutch, so keep that in mind if I pronounce something kind of weird, or the sentence structure is a little awkward.
Yeah, and shout out to the chat. Exactly. Thank you. MRM86096. That's the case. It's the Ilkley Moore UFO incident in UK 1987.
Cool.
A police officer actually goes out and his compass gets reversed. And they start trying to figure out what the heck is up with his compass. It's pretty cool. I think I saw that on Reddit, but appreciate that. Thanks, chat. That's why we're a team, baby.
Good going.
We might be on the live stream, but on planet Earth, we're together, working together. So appreciate that.
That's right. My eldest daughter had developed the theory that we had rammed a submarine, which was not so unlikely considering we were close to a naval training area. Only Miriam realized that something was wrong. She looked at me as though I were a stranger, and her uneasiness grew by the minute. She had never seen me like this before. She poured me a whiskey and sent the children to bed with the excuse that we had something to talk over. The alcohol did me good, but now it seemed that I had another problem. Miriam didn't believe me. This trip is too much for you, Steph. There are no men from Mars in the Urschild. She kept talking, perhaps to try to talk some courage into both of us. I couldn't just stay inside. I had to see what was happening outside. With a flashlight in one hand and a boat hook in the other, I stood on deck and let the beam of light play over the platform. It lay just above the surface of the water. A sinister-looking dark gray thing, in diameter, was about the same as the length of our ship, certainly 50 feet. It was resting on a ledge, which reflected the light so strongly that it looked like glass. In the middle was a pillar, slightly twisted, with about 6 feet wide and 8 feet high. The total size of the thing surprised me. I knew that was I knew what was under the water. I could walk at least the length of a swimming pool without falling off the edge. Could this be one of the much talked about flying saucers? Were they really so huge, and could they just operate underwater?
Transmedium vehicles
Original
in the
USO
1960s,
story,
dude.
dang.
You're right.
I know. This is already, checking a lot of the boxes.
Yeah, you're
All
right. I turned the
got
flashlight
my
out.
balls tingling.
Yeah. Got your orbs glowing. I turned the flashlight out and began systematically probing around the ship with the boat hook, in front by the bow, about 2 feet, and aft, about 4 feet. It was strange that each time I had to use force to pull the boat hook off the bottom, as though someone were holding it. Magnetic? Suddenly, I remembered the strange trouble with the compass magnetism. We had collided with a huge magnetic monster. We were imprisoned, stuck fast on a huge magnet, in the grip of strange, unearthly beings. The only possibility of escape was the plastic dinghy. In case of emergency, there was room for all of us. The dinghy still lay in the same place on the platform, and in the peaceful stillness of this complete isolation, a daring plan was born in me. After all, the dinghy was only about 30 feet away from me. For the third time that evening, I jumped into the water, waded as quickly as I could to the boat, and pulled it free. Within half a minute, I was back on board with the dinghy alongside. So that, so that was that. I began to regain some of my self-confidence, but my uncertainty came flooding back as I heard a scraping, hissing sound. I grabbed the searchlight and shone the beam on the platform. On the edge, a sort of lid hinged open slowly and steadily. Out of the hole crawled two figures dressed in the now familiar spacesuits, who pulled out some objects after them, which were joined together by cables or wires. Their movements reminded me of some old-time silent films, fast and jerky. What were they doing now? They stood on the platform and, with one hand against their ball-shaped helmets, at about the height of their foreheads would be, made slow, respectful bowing movements in my direction. I understood. What a relief. It was a greeting, a friendly, respectful greeting. With quick, short paces, they walked to the edge of the platform, where the bowing was repeated and emphasized, and then they stood like statues in the light of my flashlight. Strange and dramatic scene. On the Ortscheld, a man is confronted with an alien intelligence. But the man was poorly prepared for the meeting. He was nothing more than a sailor in difficulty who could feel his legs trembling in his wet clothes. The two figures in front of me were about 5 feet tall. From a distance looked deceptively human arms, head and legs, all in their proper places, but their legs were shorter than ours, and their arms reached out down to their knees. Their metallic costumes were smooth and seamless. Only by the shoulders and elbows were folds to be seen. The short, heavy legs ended in broad feet that also stuck out behind, and the front pair of their footwear was split in the middle. The hands were covered by supple, ribbed gloves. These were different from ours, too, in that not only the thumb, but also the second finger was enclosed. There were heavy, claw-like hands. A broad
Ew.
gold-colored...
Ew.
Yeah, kind of gross. A broad gold-colored belt around each of their middles, sewn with motifs and tools, was particularly noticeable, one piece of which was clearly a hammer with a sharp striking edge, and on their right side was something that vaguely resembled a pistol. A kind of drum, wound with thin glistening thread, rested on the middle of their stomachs. The remainder of their equipment was unknown to me. I gained the impression of immense physical strength, not only from their long, heavy arms and enormous shoulders, that picture's accurate, some broad shoulders, but also from their quick movements. The round ornaments around their heads were less transparent than I had originally thought. When the beam of my flashlight fell on them, they changed into glistening Christmas tree balls, and only with more indirect light,
Byron.
yeah, only with more indirect light was it possible to vaguely make out their heads. The silent confrontation was suddenly broke by a bud voice. "Do you understand English?" I nearly jumped out of my skin. Owing to my
Whoa.
surprise that they could speak English, I didn't realize that they had asked me a question. The voice was totally devoid of any questioning tone. It sounded more like a statement. "Do you understand English?" The same statement floated over the water. "Yes, I do." "We want to thank you for the rescue of our crew member."
I
Of
knew
course.
it. See, I knew this is where
Yeah,
it was going. I knew
yeah,
the
yeah.
reason why they were gifted all this information is because she helped save one of their crew members. Interesting. Very
Yeah.
unorthodox. This is not like any type of contact case I've ever witnessed where you save an alien to get this information. It's almost
You're right.
it's breaking every rule, but whatever. Let's keep going. Prime directive be damned.
They threw the Prime directive out the window with this one. Of course. Who are you? We come from another solar system. My
Oh,
God,
shit.
I called back. No shit. The situation was so strange that at that moment, I couldn't think of anything else to say. There followed a short silence, and I wondered about that strange accent, which, in fact, wasn't English at all. To my ears, it sounded more like Dutch, my own language. I could understand it perfectly, but I couldn't repeat a single
Wait,
word.
what? So he speaks Dutch, but they're speaking to him in English in a Dutch accent?
Yeah, or at the very least, in their alien tongue, English sounds like it has a strange, thick accent to them.
Oh, that's weird. So, okay, so this was initially written in Dutch.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
says the alien goes, "Do you know English?"
Yeah, so
What? That's
But in like a
Why?
thick Dutch accent.
why though? Like,
Maybe that's the only language
okay,
they learned.
interesting. I don't get it. So, okay, I'm just going crazy right now. Because the Urantia book says that midwayers are like used as for like contact liaison. You know,
Yeah.
if you remember that part. I'm pulling up the part in the paper right
They
now.
chose English because it was like kind of the primary language of the planet.
What if it's telepathic though? And because he says, I could understand it perfectly, but I couldn't repeat a single word of what they actually said.
Well, did he know English? I mean, he said yes, but it's like
I guess
I
it's
don't
like
know.
if it's telepathic, why would they say, do you need English? Although I think there
English,
is a type of
exactly right.
telepathy which still uses
You're right.
words to transmit information rather than the ideographs. And so it's still
Okay.
coded to a specific language. I'm just wondering if it is telepathic, he's confused because he feels like he hears it in a Dutch accent, but it's English words, and so it might be his mind like interpolating some of the type of telepathy that they're using.
Yeah, like that's his perception of English is with the Dutch
Yeah.
accent because that's how he
Yeah.
would speak it.
Right.
Okay.
Also, so I'm going a little bit crazy right now. I'm like saying like, based off the Urantia book rules, it says that contact personalities, midwayers are beings that are midway between human and angel. They live on the planet. They were created in two different events. One event 250,000 years ago, the Anunnaki created the first set of midwayers, pretty much invisible human beings. And then Adam and Eve created the second set. They're just like us, but they never die. They stay on planet forever, and they're invisible. And they're called midwayers. So it says right here that they're used as contact personalities. And the contacts made with the mortal beings of the material worlds, such as with the subject through whom these communications were transmitted, the midway creatures are always employed. They're an essential factor in such liaisons at the spiritual and material levels. So we know the Urantia book, it says themselves, the midwayers actually petitioned for the Urantia book to get created because it said the planet needed it. Because they live on the planet too. And in a sense, it's more their planet than our planet. Because we come for a short amount of period, then die, and they stay on it forever. So they're like, hey, we need shit to fucking get better down here. Can you send us information? And they gave us the Urantia book. And they even state that, like, angels landed and gave the information, but the midwayers were the ones who wrote it and penned it and were the ones who directly contacted the sleeping guy who was giving this information to William Sadler. So what language do the midwayers speak? People say Urantia book is like cosmic poetry. It's written so beautifully. It's because a midwayer wrote it. The midwayer has been alive for thousands of years, has seen fucking Shakespeare, all the great writers, all the great poets, was able to show up in Shakespeare's house and watch him wake up, his daily routine. With Da Vinci, same thing. They can just zoom over to everybody, all these great people, and witness their lives. And they become the most cultured beings. These midwayers are extremely cultured. So they know the best way to speak. That's why it reads like cosmic poetry, because they're the best writers, better than any human, because they've been alive forever. They're like better than Da Vinci and better than Shakespeare. So I'm thinking like, just throwing shit at the wall. Why did he hear English in his mind? Maybe the midwayers were set up in English and that's their main language, and somehow that seeped into him. Because why would a Dutch person receive English? That doesn't make any sense.
It's a good theory.
Right. No, it's a good question. If there's you're proposing that the midwares are helping to translate the contact in this case.
Yeah, it could be a possibility.
Possibly.
Yeah. Because the other thing that I thought, well, one, when they say, do you know English, that makes it sound like the Iargans know the English language because it's like a primary one, but they don't know Dutch. But then in your case, you're talking about the translation. I'm not going there yet. I'm talking about like, but then the other element of like, he says he hears Dutch. One, I'm like, okay, is it telepathic? That could explain it. If not, it could just be the aliens' accent. The way that they speak English has an accent that kind of sounds Dutch, and that could just be arbitrary. Like, just meaning it's just the way that their vocal cords, it's the way that their language, or you could say
Germans.
their native language, the Jargons, maybe it has influenced Dutch in the past because they've been here on Earth before. Like that whole ancient,
God, I love
like,
it.
where do languages really come from? Like,
yeah.
Hmm.
Hell
like
yeah.
ancient
like
Jargon influence on the Dutch peoples of old.
That's where they got the UFO tech.
Well, now mixing it with the keys of Enoch, and they say the seraphim, the cherubim, and like the midwayers kind of consolidate a language information database in the pyramids so that random people passing by can beam the pyramids and retrieve information like quickly in like a cliff notes so they can see what about Earth is. Maybe because the Uranus book was written in English and the midwayers stored that in that pyramid complex. When the Yargans fly up on the planet, they beam it and it's English, like the entire database is in English. So it's easy to work with because it's the language the custodians of the planet, the midwayers, have chose to record it into the database. So we'll use that. I'm literally spitballing like a motherfucker right now.
It's a cool theory.
They're using a technology assisted translation, and English is in the Jargon's database, but maybe the AI voice can like do it in a Dutch accent, like model a Dutch accent.
He did describe they both walked out holding these contraptions tethered together by cable. So maybe those were translation emitters or something.
Yeah.
Like Star Trek Universal Translators.
I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. It's really like he should be able to tell if he gets to spend 8 hours on a craft. Like, is he just hearing the vocals from their own vocal cords, or is it something else happening? So,
we will find out.
We're mixing up the recipes though. We got the whole cross comparative analysis.
That's right.
Ready to go. Let's go UFO shopping. Let's save an alien and win Willy Wonka's ticket.
Shopping.
Willy Wonka chocolate factory.
Promise you, by the end of our entire career, we will be UFO shopping. Live streaming.
Amen.
Yep. All right, so I'll continue from here. We come from another solar system. My God, I called back. The situation was so strange that at that moment I couldn't think of anything else to say. There followed a short silence, and I wondered about that strange accent, which, in fact, wasn't English at all. To my ears, it sounded more like Dutch, my own language. I could understand it perfectly, but I couldn't repeat a single word of what they actually said. The voice came again, and over the still dark water, an unbelievable conversation began. Is your ship damaged? No, I don't think so. Will you turn the light out? All right. Thanks. Does the ship belong to you? Have you a radio transmitter on board? We would like to show our appreciation for the rescue of our crew member. You can do that by simply explaining some of this to me. It's just too much. How long have you been here? We've been near Earth for some time. Why do you hide? Why haven't you tried to make contact with us? Our reason is that you do not know the laws of a higher civilization. I don't understand. There is still a great deal that the people of this planet do not understand. I hesitated.
Amen, brother.
How much did they know about us? You know us well, then? We have studied you for some time. You don't have a very high opinion of us, I gather. Your remark shows some insight.
Oh, wow.
Damn, shots fired. Are your people more intelligent than mine? No, only more developed. If that's
Ooh.
so, that's kind of cool. Kind of gives me a little
Brag.
confidence. If that's
Because
so,
they don't
then
probably they don't even like look at things as more or less intelligent and just more experienced or less experienced.
I'll tell you what, though,
yeah,
if these Yargans be talking to Planetary HQ, they won't be talking down.
yeah.
All right, check yourself, dog.
If that's so, then I don't understand why you haven't made contact with us. You could help us. That would constitute a breach of the laws of nature. I shrugged my shoulders. Despite the strange situation, I began to feel more
Like
at
they
ease.
didn't already breach it. Fuck.
Yeah, right.
Come on.
Maybe this was a little loophole or something.
So the laws of nature is what
If
he's
the
referring to
humans
as the
help
prime
you,
directive,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it is, you could
Oh,
say, when you're talking about the
Oh,
law
but
of
you're
free
right.
will, the human,
They didn't
he's choosing
initiate it.
to
The human
interact.
initiated.
Yeah. Now
you're
they don't
right.
have to like leave once if the contact happened and they didn't like force it to happen, they're not forced to leave the situation, but they need agreement. Like if he didn't agree to talk to them, I don't think they're supposed to like chase after and like communicate. But because he's interacting, it's like the law of one is like we answer the questions you directly ask is how like Ra does it,
Yeah.
right? Now this, I don't know, I don't think it's always like that, but some beings like they'll even be in channeling, they'll be very careful to not answer the question beyond what you have asked because of that whole free will thing.
You gotta ask the right questions.
Yeah, they're on their toes. Just like if we, it's a terrible analogy, made contact with like a uncontacted tribe, you'd be very conscious of what you're telling them to not fuck their shit up, This is interesting because I had a thought and it disappeared. So
It was abducted.
Very interesting.
Very
Your thought was
interesting.
abducted.
yeah, the laws of nature, the prime directive, they threw that out. Okay, so what I'm saying, it came back to me. This is a weird gray territory when it comes to the prime directive. And for those who are listening and don't know what the prime directive is, it's from Star Trek. It's species of a higher evolutionary development can't interfere with the evolutionary development of a species of a lower tier, I guess you would say, of a lower advancement, a lower social progress. So if you're super advanced, you can't just go fuck with a planet that is at a lower level of advancement than you. It's a legal cosmic law. But this is starting to paint a weird gray picture. If these advanced beings are following the law, no negative intention, and it's like hide yourself at all times. You cannot you can come down to the planet and study the local population, no problem. And we know you have the ability to cloak your ships. But what happens when they have technical difficulties and lose the ability to cloak their ships? Then they're in a weird gray zone. And on top of that, a human stumbles upon. They weren't trying to make contact with the human. They were just in a real vulnerable position. And then a human stumbled upon. No free will is broken. At that point in time, they can technically make contact because they didn't initiate the contact. They were just in a vulnerable state. And a human stumbled upon them and initiated a contact. So now it allows us to start a conversation without breaking any rules.
In a court of law, they could say like, yeah, like our ship was legit broke.
It was broken. And she saved our crew member, dog. So like
saved us.
Yeah, or he saved our crew member.
We hung out for a day.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what's a big deal, bro? Like, come on, man. You know how it is in the cosmos. If you help me, I wouldn't be a big deal about it. And now you're tripping because it's an Earth human. Like, come on, man. It's cool. They helped us out. Like,
that's a pretty solid argument.
Truthfully, I don't think that angels and midwares directly enforce this. I think that midwares do. We do have quotes about them patrolling the planet, but I think that it's actually the local star councils of 3D beings that are in resonance with the law of free will, and they agree as the Galactic Federation that when you go to other planets, you don't like interact. So I'm saying, like, who would punish the Iargans? Who would actually punish them? I don't think it would be angels and midwares that would step in. I think it would be on the council, the Star Council level, like the Iargan minister ambassador like might get the news that one of the Iargan ships got revealed on Earth. Maybe the news gets to one of the federations. They bring it up in a little meeting. They're like, hey, we want to talk to the pilots and just figure out what happened here because there's this book on Earth called UFO Contact from Planet Iarga.
They made a fucking book about it. Yeah, but so if it really happened like that, how we're kind of like framing it, then I'm sure the United Midwayers of Urantia would rush to help because no rules are breaking. Like, okay, let's just be here just to help. I mean, I'm not going to pull it up right now, but there's that one Urantia quote, and it talks about like the system sovereign or like a constellation sovereign, and oh no, I think it's the Norlashadek head or the governor general from the foreign 20, one of those councils. They're on Earth and they like initiate like a new program. They're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. And then out of nowhere, without even his consent, like 12 different beings appear from paradise, if you remember that. And they just showed up to work and he goes, oh, I wasn't expecting you guys. And he was like, I can't claim to be that you are under my jurisdiction because you're higher than me from paradise, but you guys are unexpectedly here. And then they like pledge their allegiance to him, saying, no, we're here to help whatever you need. And then they like coordinate with to help Earth in the next stage. That's how I picture the Midwayers, you know, when an event happens that's of a great importance, these celestial beings come to offer their help, not under like a formal jurisdiction. There's like, we're here to help. And you're like, oh shit, now all of a sudden I have these celestial beings at my disposal to help because they want to help with the event. I know it's a long-winded way of saying the Midwayers saw them saving this alien in the water and they're like, we need to help. So
Could be. I could see that.
this
That
is
would
good. I like this.
Yeah, it's it gets juicy.
Hmm.
So continuing,
Oh, sorry. To shout out to the chat. Fucking Anon Hotep says thought abduction happens regularly for me after 4:20 p.m.
420. Yep, so that's usually when it happens.
Shout out to the chat. And Mr. MH, he also talks about looking into the Zanfretta abduction case. They put a helmet on his head to help the translation process. So appreciate that. We definitely got to put that on our little Airtable list of topics to talk about because that'd be fresh. And nigga gets a fucking alien helmet on him.
So there's two other stories I have. So Gok, they give him a universal translator thing, and he talks about how it works. And then another case that I have, this guy goes on a 6-month cruise with 300 other Earth people with these Pleiadian human types, and they give them what looks like a little sphere in that they can put in their ear, and it's like an AirPod with universal translation.
Huh.
Oh, that's sick.
So they might have the technology for this.
Dude, the newest AirPods have this live translation.
But they're copying Samsung. Wow. I mean, AirPods copying Samsung. Samsung had it first.
That Samsung FFRDC got it from the alien.
I could use live translation in India. That'd be sick.
Oh, that's crazy.
The crazy thing is that this Dutch person is putting all this back and forth with no like who's saying what. Like I don't. So, some of them are like it seems like the person speaking twice or 3 times, and you're trying to figure out who's saying what.
I found the Dutch ebook that's still sold like officially. I'm gonna buy that and translate it. I don't want this. I don't know about this old copy. Everyone's using this copy. Who knows if the CIA redacted it?
That's right.
Altered it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, the Dutch book. The Dutch book only sells for $27. Like you can still buy that. It's just the English version that's rare.
Okay.
You showing the people?
I mean, I can drop links in the chat. I don't know how many people are gonna buy the Dutch book, but
they ain't got lawyers. They ain't gonna hit us up. They ain't gonna do nothing.
All right, so continuing on.
Just kidding. If you are a lawyer watching this, I'm just joking. We want to help you sell your book, okay? And that joke helps us get in with the public. So we're on your side, guys.
Yeah, we're on your side. All right,
don't sue us.
That would constitute a breach of the laws of nature. I shrugged my shoulders. Despite the strange situation, I began to feel more at ease. This was an unimaginably important meeting. I began wondering how I could manage to squeeze some information out of these beings. I could learn things that man, for centuries, had only been able to guess at, and I could find out about their spaceships.
Ooh.
This guy's over here trying to press him already.
He sounds like an American agent. He's like,
squeeze all the information out.
Now that this meeting is happening, I could get quite the download.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Calls up JPL. I got a investment for you.
Right. We wish to give you something as a token of our thanks. If we give you an object which you can prove our existence, it will surely also be worth a great deal of money. We hope that you will accept it. It is sterilized. What is it? It is a block of inert metal that is many times
Red flag like
stronger.
a motherfucker, dude. Keep going.
Yeah,
keep
where's
going.
that? Where's that at? It is a block of inert metal that is many times stronger than your best steel and only half as heavy. It has a superconductive structure that is so straight that current can only flow through it when a positive pole is placed directly opposite a negative pole, in line with the structure of the metal. If one of the electrodes is moved only 1,000th of an inch, the current ceases to flow. With this structure, it is possible, with correctly placed electrodes, to form a spiral current pattern, the result being that when a direct current is connected to two feed wires, a supermagnet is created with a negligible current consumption. Also, the metal has a melting point much higher than anything known on Earth. We use this metal for the outer skin of our spacecraft. That is the gift. We hope you will accept it. It was greatly impressed.
That's
This is
insane.
incredible. I am grateful. I expected no gift for saving your crew member, but I imagine that your intention is to help us, and I accept it with heartfelt thanks.
All
Wait,
right, can we
you
pause there for a second? Like,
There's a
yeah,
lot there.
what the
And this is wild
fuck is
because
going on?
dude, do you remember in Chris Bledsoe, the NASA guy, CIA NRO, Tim Taylor? He brings this like little piece of
Spook.
of the spacecraft skin allegedly, and he like puts it in Chris Bledsoe's hand, and it shocks his body. Actually, there's two pieces. One goes in one hand, and then when he places the other one in the other hand, it's like a current that like runs through him, and he like
Ooh, it
starts to
creates a
go into a
circuit.
trance.
Interesting.
And he said it, this is allegedly the skin from the spacecraft. It seems like it's alive somehow or looking for energy, but not
Wow, look at
every
you.
human
Good
like
connection.
interacts with. It's rare for humans to like feel anything when they get both pieces. And this guy, when he gave it to Chris and he saw that happen, he's like, why you? Like, why would this happen to you? Why were you chosen? Because for him, that was confirmation that Bledsoe was like taken in a craft and like connected with the phenomenon, because those type of people are rare and they're the ones who actually interact with this metamaterial. And so it's just weird that now they're talking about the outer shell of their skin, and that if you hit it right with electrical flow, it does something super special. Now, obviously, it's probably just like a replacement thing. Like, I kind of get why they would give it to him. Like, they don't think it's important, or maybe they don't know, like, how. I don't know. I mean, it's like 1970 or something, and they're just like, sure, we'll just give him
like
this.
1960.
I kind
or
of get
something.
that it's not a big deal to them, but to us, that's a huge deal. It's like Lockheed has to
Would you
make their
prove?
own skin, to make for a TR-3B, and meanwhile,
That's what I'm talking about.
this guy got this.
And to bring the connections popping, Dylan Borland, the guy who most recently testified in the congressional hearing, he talked about smoking a cigarette on his break and seeing a big black triangle, BBT, floating above his head. And when he was smoking and staring at it, I remember he was mesmerized by the outer part of the craft. He said it looked like what is that? Something of pearl, like an oil slick, mother of pearl, like an oil slick, and it was like mutating and rotating constantly. Yeah, he wasn't the first person to say this either. Other people have witnessed the TR-3B say something similar. This also reminds me of the Carrot document that we did a huge deep dive in our live streams. You can go check it out. I'll put the link in the chat. But it talks about an I-beam that self-assembles, that like just by the metal attaching itself in a modular way perfectly, like a circuit and an intelligence would be created, which is similar to what this document is saying. So we got the Dylan Borland connection, and we have the Carrot document connection, which is reinforcing this metamaterial exterior skin that this person is talking about. So that's me being a nice guy and backing him up with all these data points. Now I want to fucking rip him down because this doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. Are you kidding me? I mean, I understand, like, talking to him and maybe revealing some information, but breaking the prime directive by giving him actual material, and they state that this is going to be worth more than anything you have down there, like putting a financial backing behind it. I'm just gonna throw it out on the table. How would a rebellious type of species take over a planet? You know, they'd start using these dangling money, material finances in front of your face, and they do that the first interaction. It's already like painting the interaction. What is it? The subconscious agreement that energy's on the table. Even if you're not addressing it, you can, like, if you're trying to play me and you're not addressing it, but I see it, it's still on the table. Just because we're not addressing it, that energy is still on the table, you know, and part of the agreement.
Yeah.
So it's interesting what they're doing here. I wouldn't expect a benevolent species to just start dropping blocks of inert material that we don't have, exotic meta material that's worth more than anything we have. That's a red flag in my book.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I thought of is that, like, maybe, you know, this is playing the devil's advocate here. They're like, they know that to a normal Earth man, this is what they consider valuable, not the ideas and communication and conversations. They know that Earth people just want things. They want cool things. They want things worth money, and out of respect for what the humans want, they're like, let's give them something that technically is worth a lot to them. But I do see in the next couple paragraphs they actually explain some more. So
They break it down.
yeah, they break it down like why. So maybe we read that and then continue deciding here on what exactly is the efficacy of this gift.
Yeah. Also, Mr. MH6096. Oh, you saw that. You got that. Cool.
Yes, sir. I'm on it.
All right. So I'll go ahead and continue ahead then. We admire your unselfishness, but we must point out that the block of metal represents a far too advanced technique to be of any use to you in your research. Technically speaking, it is useless, but you are right in thinking that something else is behind it. We wish to give you proof that you are being observed by intelligent alien races, who know you so well that they are able to communicate with you, but refrain from doing so. We live in the perhaps desperate hope that people exist who, with this information, will be able to understand the reason for our reluctance. And what is the reason? We do not have the values, the ethics of a developed... Oh, you do not have the values, the ethics of a developed civilization. Because of this, the human race has, as yet, no chance of eternal survival. It blocks the way to cosmic integration.
Whoa. Okay. Damn, they just threw a fucking 60 chess move right there. He goes, nigga, you're never going to be able to figure out this block of metal. And you think we told you it's worth more than anything you have, but you're not going to be able to sell it because ain't no one knows what the fuck it is. So chill out. Chill out. Wow, damn, that's
already ahead of him on that.
Fuck. And then he goes, because you haven't gotten the values, ethics of a developed civilization, you haven't hit your trisophic prerequisites. Your mind, body, spirit levels aren't right. Your planet has no chance of eternal survival. That's, now we're talking about that survival ship, building up all of your stats strong enough in order to make it in the higher cosmic career.
Yeah.
And I'm not, this isn't for the conversation for today, but is society making people so apathetic that they don't even want to do it? You know?
Yeah.
Interesting. So he's addressing, that's crazy. He answered our questions right there. He's like, you know what, bro? It's like, it is a meta material, but you're not going to be able to hack it. So it's not a big deal. Here's an advanced rock, and you're going to think it's a rock for 1,000 years. And then B, fuck the material we're talking about. We're talking about your planet's eternal survival. That's what they're talking about. And your Galactic Federation integration, your cosmic integration. Now you're getting my attention, dude. This guy's speaking that speak. So
I want to know where that material is. Did the family inherit it? Is it still out there? Did an intelligence agency gather it up?
Fucking Battelle Memorial Institute, deep underground military base in locker 46271. Look at that. I just remote viewed. Get chat, get on it.
All right. I shrugged my shoulders. I had never heard of cosmic integration. They also began to irritate me. I found them a little too arrogant. You regard us as children, then? No, an adult does not blame a child for the fact that he has not yet grown up. But do you blame us for something? And what is that? Any English-speaking Negro, Chinese, or American Indian can give you the answer. The conversation was not going exactly the way I had imagined. I had to think of something else, and at the same time be careful that the contact was not broken. I was afraid that they would climb back into their saucer and I would never see them again. I think I understand what you mean. May I ask a couple more questions? This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. That is correct. The present generation will not have the chance again. Answers to my questions seem to be uh, much more important than a block of metal. Answers to my questions seem to be much more important than the block of metal. Your insight surprises us. The answer to carefully selected questions is certainly much more important. I was surprised that they agreed to my request so quickly and easily. They suddenly seemed much more friendly. In that case, I would like to know what your spacecraft looks like, and more important, how it is powered. You disappoint us with this question about technical knowledge. The most dangerous natural law governing the development of an intelligent people states, a highly technological society does away with all discrimination or self-destruct. To supply technical information to a people like yourselves is a serious crime against the cosmic laws. The last thing that you need is technological information to increase the gap between your intellectual development and your almost non-existent social development. Carry on playing with your Mars probes for the moment, as half of your world's population lives in poverty and hunger. The only information you need lies in the field of societal standards. I was terribly disappointed. There went my dream of learning breathtaking technical discoveries. I'm afraid that very few people would be interested in that kind of information. We are afraid so too. When do you think that the time will be ripe to give us information about space travel? The cosmic isolation of an intelligent race can only be lifted when the minimum culture level has been reached. We call it social stability. In this conversation, then?
That's crazy. He's talking about like quarantine right there.
That's what I thought of too. That does sound like quarantine being lifted. In this conversation, then? We feel ourselves justified because of your actions in supplying certain small pieces of information which will set the present generation to thinking. What do you call a socially stable culture? We could give you the answer, but we doubt that you would understand it. I will take that chance. It seems to be important. Be sure that you know what you want. This answer demands an explanation in word and vision for at least 2 days. Furthermore, you must choose between the material gift, the block of metal, and the immaterial gift in the form of information. We cannot give you both. Ooh. I don't understand what one has to do with the other. There is still so much that you do not understand, but after our explanation, this question will also be answered for you. Are you really prepared to spend 2 days explaining this to me? My tone clearly showed my surprise. We are, for at least 2 days. A conversation of shorter duration would have no point. It is the minimum time in which we can give you the necessary information. We have all the time in the world. Space travelers are never in a hurry. But we must warn you, we doubt that the information that we give you will make your life happier. So be sure that you know what you are doing. I shrugged my shoulders. It is clear to me that these beings were devious. But I did not intend to let this one chance in a million slip through my fingers. All right, what do I have to do? We have a small sterilized decompression chamber, and only from there will you be able to hear us and see our screen. Food and drink you will have to bring from your ship, which should stay here. We must warn you again, you will become wiser for this experience, but not happier. We can leave our ship whenever we want, right? Naturally, but if you leave us, it is for good, and with our blessing. All we ask now is a solemn vow from you and your wife that as long as we are here, you will not contact anyone else and will do everything in your power to keep our presence a secret. I'll need to talk it over with my wife. Got to talk to the wife. Naturally, but my decision had already been made. I will not tire you with Miriam's arguments, nor with the latter part of my conversation with the aliens, which consisted only of a number of instructions regarding anchoring, lighting, knock signals, and so on. The visit itself was to begin early the following morning, for which preparations were needed. The two statues turned about and, laden with their apparatus, disappeared as quickly as they had come, as if sleepwalking. I went
So
slowly.
this is all happening on the seas?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe
So
just
like
on
he's
that.
living off his ship, floating in the water and like having this contact back and forth from the UFO ship to their ship.
Yeah, and that one kind of golden colored image of the two beings standing there, I suppose, was an illustration of them standing on the surface of the water on their craft.
Talking to each other. Jeez, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Yep.
Um,
So yeah, I pulled a Your Ranch book quote real quick just for the same thing I was talking about before for the quarantine. It just says like the sovereignty of Earth is complicated by the one-time arbitrary seizure of the planetary authority by the government of Norlashidak shortly after the planetary rebellion. Can't find the exact quote right now, but there's another quote that says that our planet Earth has been seized by the government of Norlashidak, I think like 30 something times. Like crazy events happen and they just seize the authority. So I just want people to have a mental image of the galactic organizations and why planet Earth is in quarantine, because the Anunnaki rebelled 250,000 years ago. And ever since 250,000 years ago, our planet's government authority has been seized at one point in time from different levels of cosmic government, from Jesus himself all the way down to like the local constellation level.
yeah, that's really interesting. Jabway in the comments says it would be really insightful to see how other planets have gone through the transition to joining the intergalactic community and if it resembles what has been happening here. That's what I find so
That's what I'm
exciting
talking
this
about, baby.
document. Yeah, it's if this isn't a work of fiction, if this is a legit encounter, then we in the following chapters are going to get a glimpse at how they actually achieved the current status they're at and how they evolved from animals to upright beings, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah, and it's funny. The other day I texted Taychilla this, like I was just chilling, like focusing on the mission, and I got like an image or like a feeling ideograph. And it was like the energy I feel of just wanting to constantly do, you know, like dereliction of duty. That's one of the main things you can get charged for in the military if you leave your post. You refuse duty, dereliction of duty. You just abandon your duty post. That's how you get kicked out. It's like one of the highest offenses in the military. One of the first rules of the Marine Corps, they make you memorize rules. Say, I shall never leave my post, period. That's like in the first three. Ever. If you do that, you're getting kicked out. And I take that seriously when it comes to what we're doing with Planetary HQ and trying to make the planet a better place. I wake up and I'm like, I will not default. I will not abandon my post. I will keep going, even when other people don't even understand what's going on. I will stay and do it.
Damn straight.
And that feeling, I guess, is what propels me forward. And damn it, dude, I forgot what I was saying.
Talking about the supreme, it's like
thank
the
you,
motivation.
Thank you. Yeah. So I was thank you thank you, Taylor. So I was thinking about that. All those feelings are propelling me forward, and then the image was like, that feeling is the supreme, because you are on Earth, uniquely changing planet Earth back to its homeostasis point. And no one's ever done it like you. No one's ever been in 2026 right here, right now, doing it the way we're doing it, because we're unique in this time space. But every time we get that urge to do it, to not abandon your duty post, that's the supreme bringing you forward, because the supreme is just amalgamating the different experiences. So like what the homie said in the chat, shout out to Jab, I wonder what it's like reintegrating with the Galactic Federation on other planets. Every planet is its own scenario and like a data bank that it contributes to the supreme. And we're doing it on planet Earth. So by doing this, we're contributing to that database of the supreme. So every time I wake up and feel this, I'm like, it's literally the call of the supreme. The supreme wants to make contact with us. It wants to intimately make contact with us. And the only way it can do that is if we step up every morning, wake up and fucking get after it and do this. Make more episodes, edit more videos, write more scripts, get people in the mind, body, spirit program, help other people hit 99 stats for everything, help other people max out their stats. And that's what I texted Tay Chill. I was feeling that, and I go, hey, I got an image in my mind, and it's that feeling that we get. That's the supreme wanting to make contact with us. And that's what I texted him, and I was like, fuck yeah, bro. I only sprung into that monologue because of what the homie Jabwai said in the chat. You know, it'd be insightful to see how other planets go through this transition period. And I also agree, but it can be part of Earth's, you know?
Yeah, that's right. The two statues turned about and, laden with their apparatus, disappeared as quickly as they had come. As if sleepwalking, I went slowly to the bow and, as agreed, let the anchor fall onto the hard metal bottom, complete with an extra piece of chain. Soon afterwards, the platform sank with a bud zooming noise. I'm not sure what bud, what word that's supposed to be. Zooming noise under the surface of the water. A dull shock followed and the ship floated in its element once again. A short time later, my brain received yet another jolt. The dead stillness of the night was broken by a terrible noise, a bud zooming noise. I'm going to say that's
Bud zooming combined, another
a loud
bud zooming.
zooming.
I don't know what the fuck.
Maybe that's loud, because I know this was like maybe the computer. Yeah, the computer made a PDF out of the typed document. Letters were
might
close.
have scanned it wrong. Okay, yeah, you're right. That would be like a long OUD and turn to a B. The LO.
LOUD. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and turn to a B.
Oh, did you guys? I wanted to mention about one of the things I thought was quite interesting was that I like this proposal, this agreement where he's like, what do you call a socially stable culture? And they're like, well, if you really want to know, you know, you need 2 days. But this important thing they say first, or furthermore, you must choose between the material gift or the immaterial gift in the form of information. We cannot give you both. I don't understand what one has to do with the other. I think that's like really interesting. I think it also,
baby.
Yeah, it's not that like you can't have both on Earth, but like when the cosmos is giving you like knowledge, like Gnostic, a direct experience, like you have to realize that like you can't come in as a gold digger. There's a sense of like one or the other. And I think also on the spiritual seeker's path, everyone does have a similar point. Like it's why some like spiritual seekers, like for some period of time, they like don't even focus on like any of the material stuff, sometimes to their detriment. On Earth, we do have to balance everything at once, but I think it's interesting here that there's a cosmic opportunity and they're like, you know, if you like, we can give you information or you can leave with this. It's kind of like a game show also. It's kind of fun. Kind of like that.
Yeah, and I think maybe if they practice, well, not because maybe the Urantia book says on high, all the planets practice triosophy. They know that mind, body, spirit, or thing, meaning, value, data, they're all equal. Like all of them are the same. As much as we want to like poo-poo materialism, sorry guys, materialism is part of the triad. They're all equal. You need all three. You need to focus on all three in order to have a harmonious point of view. So if they know that, they come up to planet Earth and they go, we know triosophy. Mind, body, and spirit data is equal. They saved our guy. Let's offer it to them. Which one do they want? But they know that planet Earth is already distorted towards the material aspect, right? So they go, all right, do you want mental, spiritual, or material block? And in the back of their mind, they know you material motherfuckers need to pick the mind, spirit. And then we go, you can only have one or the other. And if we pick the material block, they're going to roll their eyes and be like, you idiots. But they're going to still give it to us because it's just as equal as the mind, spirit data, you know? From their point of view, all 3 points are important. But on Earth, do we really need the material? I don't think so, because we're already kind of heavily leaning that way. You know what I'm saying?
He was confronted with the decision to either kind of cash out, take that block of material and be like, look, everyone, I got proof. I met aliens. Everyone would think he's crazy. It'd probably get confiscated by the government. You'd never see it again. Or he could have real lasting knowledge that he could write a book about.
Yeah, and from their point of view, the knowledge that they're giving him is the exact same value as that material block. But I guarantee you we'd probably benefit more off that mental, spiritual knowledge on Earth, you know?
Absolutely.
Especially if the block is so advanced we can't even crack it. Like,
yeah, right. All right. The dead stillness of the night was broken by a terrible noise, a loud zooming combined with the screaming, howling tone of a circular saw. The anchor chain jerked tight and the surface of the water became strangely disturbed. The spaceship was acting as a submarine. We were pulled forward over a broad foam track, which was lit from beneath a dull yellow-green light. The noise was unearthly and frightening. I stood fascinated and began to wonder what I had let myself in for. Chapter 2.
Damn. So they're bringing him in. That's what's
The
up.
music. That's like the sick intro. Like they could make this into a movie. We'll make it into a movie.
I would love to.
Yeah, it's exciting. All right. You want to keep going? How long have we been going so
Where
far?
we at here?
Like an hour?
Yeah, we're an hour and a half in.
Hour and a half? All right. We've got another 30 minutes for show.
Is it me? I guess I'm up.
Yeah, you're up.
I successfully purchased the ebook. Heck yeah.
Nice.
The Dutch original, the OG. All right.
Ich verstehe ein bisschen Deutsch.
Yeah. Aboard the alien spacecraft. Good God. Good God. Miriam's exclamation so early in the morning reflected both surprise and repulsion. In answer to my repeating knocking signals, the huge round platform had risen again above the surface of the water, and now, in broad daylight, the sight was much more impressive. The slightly domed platform lay, just as it had yesterday evening, with its edge level with the surface of the water. Its surface was for the most part as smooth as polished stone and dark gray in color, with scattered patches of off-white, which made it appear as though someone had been throwing around bags of flour. Over this otherwise...
A lot of people describe it like that stone, smooth, aluminum brush finish. A lot of UFO contact cases say that, yeah.
Yeah. Over this otherwise perfectly smooth surface ran innumerable ragged, charred grooves which ended in a small crater, as though something had exploded there. Nearly all the scratches and grooves ran in one direction and gave the impression that the spaceship had been grazed by enemy fire, or that someone had been at work with a blowing torch. All in all, it was an ominous sight, and Miriam's reaction was not very reasoning.
National Reconnaissance Organization,
Shot
NRO.
it down, yeah. Space lasers in 1980, in 1970, 1969. This is funny. Steph, please don't go. Something as alien as that can only spell trouble for us all. Divorce. Sorry, I gotta go with these guys.
Yeah, come on. This is like human species changing. I'm going, babe. Fucking. Oh fuck,
babe. But here's the thing: we could either be rich, or I can go hang out with them for 2 days. It's too dangerous. Don't do it. Don't trust them.
He takes off her ring and puts it on the fucking block.
She was right, of course. There was something wrong about entering this thing, but even the latent fear from last evening and the leaden feeling in my stomach, brought on by the sight of this forbidding platform, were not enough to hold me back. A few moments later, I was sitting on the edge of the platform, drying my feet after wading through the water. I donned my shoes and socks, and armed with sandwiches, thermos, and notepaper, I began to look for the opening that they had described. I had hardly taken a couple of steps when a round, safe-like door slowly began to open near the edge, and a small quantity of sand and water, which had settled in the jompt, was blown away by a stream of compressed air. I went closer and looked down through the round hole, about 3 feet in diameter, into a cube-shaped space about 8 feet across. Once again I heard the voice. "Welcome on board. Be careful as you come below. The ladder is dangerous for you." Indeed, the ladder was nothing more than a pole with staggered steps on either side, formed to place my feet. I stopped in my descent.
Pretty ghetto.
I stopped in my descent and waved to Miriam, saying, "Don't worry, I'll be back around 5 o'clock. The reception has been very friendly, and it's really quite cozy in here." I love that.
The wife didn't want to come?
I'll be back at 5. Once below, I cast my eyes around the room. Unimaginably complicated equipment lined the walls and ceiling. The only things that were vaguely familiar were huge reels and drums, wound with every possible size of cable and pipe. In the floors was a metal door that looked remarkably earthy, with a round knob in the middle over which I nearly stumbled. In one corner stood a kind of desk with rows of knobs, and above a panoramic screen, about 5 feet long and 3 feet high, that glowed with a soft green fluorescent light. Behind the desk stood a strangely normal-looking chair with a metal frame and leather upholstery. The voice, leather upholstery. Behind the desk,
Nice.
a chair, something that looked like leather.
Like a leather chair, yeah.
The voice invited me to sit and explained that the seat had unlimited possibilities for adjustment, but that certain instructions from the voice would be necessary before I could be comfortably seated. Yes, thank you. What happens now? Is this the beings aren't in there in the room with him, right? And that's what they said to him. They were like, "You're gonna have to be in this segmented room."
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
So they're like speaking through a speaker or telepathically, and he's just in this room by himself.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
so, because they said that they were gonna give him like they sent like mental pictures and stuff like that when they instruct him. But I wanted to interject that like I think the reason for this is that I never really thought of this, but I was reading Marshall V.N. Summers' books, and I think it was Life in the Universe. And you can read this for free online on his website. But he says that like any galactic federation interactions occur in sterile environments because it's actually really difficult for alien species to live on another planet because of the completely different biome and germs and stuff. And so when aliens actually are in the same space, there's a danger of passing on different microorganisms and viruses that these other species has had no contact with. And you know, some of it isn't going to matter to them, but there could be something that does affect their biology. I have a feeling that's why they've separated him in a separate room, just for that whole sterile process.
That's a really good point because earlier it did mention we've prepared for you a sterilization decompression chamber so he can sit in there in his atmosphere and breathe it. And this whole time they've had to wear their suits and all that, so now they can comfortably go to another room, take their suits off.
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of take it for granted, like this idea of aliens and humans like standing together, but it's like there's so many biological differences that could change like the type of air that they need to breathe. And that is why the hybrid program exists. All right, so he's in a seat and he's like, all right, what happens now? Introductions would be the best way to start. Will you answer a few questions? Yes, of course. How should we address you? Call me Steph. All right, Steph, the language you speak is not your own language, although it seems to be. It is the language of all living species in this universe. Even a plant or an animal will understand it. This language was spoken on Earth before the Babylonian confusion of tongues.
Ooh.
All right, that's a little weird. You don't. I guess that technically was
the
real.
Tower of Babel.
But I was just thinking like it's not exactly true that like the confusion of tongues was caused by the Supreme.
That's
but
a Bible thing.
It does. But you know, even Urantia does say that like doesn't it say that there was some language lost after the disagreement about how Babel was going to be used, and I forget. We had
Possibly.
I don't know if you can
This
pull
could
that
be
up.
like the Norlation, like the universal
Yeah, it
language
does.
or something like that.
It does kind of talk about that. How the Tower of Babel is a real thing, and that's where the term Babylonian comes from. Pretty much just the descendants of the Anunnaki were torn in between like three or four different groups, and they were fighting over why they wanted the Tower of Babel to be created. One said they wanted to show like racial superiority. One said they wanted to show like a spiritual monument. And then another person said they wanted to make this tower a dedication to
Apology.
as a apology for the Anunnaki rebelling, to show the world like we're sorry, we didn't mean for our ancestors to rebel, forgive us, and we're going to try to make the planet better. And they never agreed and ended up dispersing amongst themselves. Now I just want to talk about the Sumerians, the descendants of the Anunnaki who landed 500,000 years ago. And just talking about language that we read right there. What did it say? It said that this language was spoken on Earth before the Babylonian confusion. So this talks about the Anunnaki spreading out and how they created the quote-unquote Babylonians. All of this explains how the Sumerians appeared so suddenly and mysteriously on the stage of action in Mesopotamia. Investigators will never be able to trace out and follow these tribes back to the beginning of the Sumerians, who had their origin 200,000 years ago after the submergence of Dalmatia. Without a trace of origin elsewhere in the world, these ancient tribes suddenly loom upon the horizon of civilization with a full-grown and superior culture, embracing temples, metalwork, agriculture, animals, pottery, weaving, commercial law, civic codes, religious ceremonial, and an old system of writing. At the beginning of the historical era, they had long since lost the alphabet of Dalmatia, having adopted the peculiar writing system originating in Dilmun. The Sumerian language, this is the part I was talking about. The Sumerian language, though virtually lost to the world, was not Semitic. It wasn't that Jewish or Arabic. It was much more in common with the so-called Aryan tongues. Okay? So for the people right here, you can look up Dilmun, ancient city in Mesopotamia. This is actually where the Anunnaki lived for a bit. You can still see some tablets found there.
Do you think that the Dalmatia language, do you think that was the one that was still universal because that was taught by the Anunnaki?
That's where I'm getting to it. That's where I'm getting to it. Yes, exactly. And this we see the from the Urantia book, Nanchi. Uruk, that Urantia. So this is Dilmun, where they landed, and that proto-non-Semitic language. Like Was ist dein Name? That's German, but it sounds like English, I'm not trying to say like Hitler was right or nothing, but he tried to connect the Germanic language to the Indo-European Aryan language of northern India, which was not that Semitic, Jewish, Arabic type of speaking. So that Germanic English Indo-European language, I think, is more tied directly to that universal Anunnaki language, which might be what he's talking about here, that universal language. Mm-hmm. So just diving deep for the people, for the viewers, if that makes any sense for you guys out there.
Fire.
Based on the Urantia book. Yeah, that makes sense to you? Yeah, kind of, right?
Yes. Yeah. So
because he even meant before the Babylonian confusion. So that pre-Semitic.
You don't hear words, but sounds that are directly reflected by your emotional structure, the life field. Therefore, don't try to understand words, but listen to the reflections of your soul. Ooh. Is that a kind of thought transference? Not exactly, but you can compare it with that. I understand. How old are you? I am 43. Are you in good health? Yes, perfect. Have you a high social function? High? What do you mean by high? I am the director of business with a few hundred employees. So you are a representative of the directing class of the West Bloc. I don't quite understand the question. What do you mean by West Bloc? Let us ask, then, are you a supporter of a free economy? Yes, without a doubt. Now it is your turn. Would you perhaps like to see us from close up? I tensed involuntarily, and my heart began to beat faster. I am afraid that I will get a shock if I see you. That is true. Nothing is more intense than a visual confrontation with another intelligent race. Do you feel strong enough not to panic? Now that I know that I have nothing to fear from you, I will not panic. You certainly have nothing to fear from us. On the contrary, we are indebted to you. Look through the window to the right of the screen. When we turn on the light, you will be able to look into our navigation room. Ready? Right. Here we go. I looked into a huge round chamber about 45 feet across and 9 feet high. From the decompression chamber, I could see over the greatest part of the navigation area with its vast contents of instruments and control panels. Strangely, all the instruments and panels were mounted on the floor with walkways alongside and separated by vertical metal grills that reached the roof. Everything was dark blue in color, almost black, causing a very strange lighting effect. The dominating blue-black surfaces acted as an almost invisible background against which all the white or polished metal knobs, handles, and instruments stood out in dear relief as though luminous. The encompassing vertical wall of the dome looked as though it was made of glass. The highly polished material reflected strongly and gave a very strange lighting effect from the reflections. On many of the panels, diversely colored lights burned, interposing by dark, transparent strips on which flashes or darting lines could be seen. An imposing piece of technology. I suddenly realized there was no sign of life whatsoever. Well, where are you then? Prepare yourself. You may see us now. A light came on, illuminating an area directly in front of the window. I sprang back. In spite of my mental preparation, the paralyzing fear had returned quite suddenly, and cold shivers ran over my scalp, through my neck and over my shoulders. On the other side of the window, in a half circle as though at a conference table, sat 8 strange humanoid beings. Their faces and forms radiated as much primitive animal power as haughty intelligence superiority. I felt again the uncertainty of yesterday, a reaction to their obvious superiority and self-assurance. I'm convinced that any intelligent man would have felt the same, and that this reaction is a part of our makeup. The same feeling that I did not belong here, that even those steel walls could not protect me from the mental impact made by this intelligent pressure group from a much higher civilization and development, with their fantastic knowledge belonging to a strange distant world. Their unearthly, somewhat animal faces, with a dynamic, expressive ability, emphasize the differences in our places of origin to such an extent that I am convinced it touches areas that to us are still taboo, and which have been since time began. When you are unable to draw, how on earth can you expect someone else to draw a face that he has never dreamed existed? How can you create a portrait with words? My friend Rudolf Das, who accepted the task of drawing the pictures of this book, was driven nearly to distraction by my dubious attempts to produce a good likeness, one which would demonstrate their superiority. He finally convinced me that even a photograph would not effectively convey what I had in mind. The facial expressions must be left unhappily to the imagination of the reader. It was the hypnotic effect of their eyes, with their large rectangular pupils, that made the deepest impression on me.
Rectangular pupils? That's fucking trippy.
They got Metatron's cube for eyes. They were thoughtful, peaceful eyes of deep philosophical thinkers that were studying me with quizzical friendliness. Their heads were about the same size as ours, only slightly deeper toward the back, and in the middle of the skull was a bony ridge that changed into a deep groove in the center of the forehead. It gave the impression of a skull divided into 2 separate compartments. Toward the back of their heads, the ridge ended on a semicircular muscle formation that ran down the neck and into the shoulders, making the side view of the neck much heavier looking than ours. The same is true of the whole construction of their bodies. They were much more solidly built than we are. Their arms and shoulders, although of much the same proportions as ours, were much heavier and more muscular, and combined with the claw-like hands gave an impression of strength that would have come a dose second to a bench vice. So they are like stocky, like in our thumbnail. All this combined with their broad chest and short stocky legs make them as though they would not even step out of the path of a gorilla.
Damn. Some big ass fools.
Yeah.
Like you said, the thumbnail.
Interesting that we were looking at the gorilla as well with that. That was a gorilla, right?
Yeah,
with
the
that
ridge.
thing. Yeah,
Yep.
the ridge.
Yeah.
Their muscle tissues also seemed to be different, more like solid rubber, and their thin skin followed the contours of their muscles more closely than ours. The top of the head to the back of the neck was covered with short, smooth hair that shone like the coat of a smooth, furry animal. The color of this hair was different with each of them. Rust brown, gold, and silver gray showed either separately or mixed. Their hairless skin had a pale glass-like sheen to it. Along the edges of the face, the skin showed slightly darker gray-brown than in the middle. As they turned their heads, the skin seemed to reflect the light and shade their surroundings. This changing color effect was something that caught my attention many times. Their teeth were 2 seamless white strips, above and below, that closed in a scissor-like fashion. Both their teeth and the yellow-white of their eyes reflected the strange lighting in such a way that their faces looked slightly artificial. Their movements were also strange. They could sit or stand perfectly still for much longer periods and more often than we would even attempt. But when action, their movements were lightning fast and emphasized their tremendous strength. They were like volcanoes. After a period of rest, they would erupt into a wave of energy and temperament that would have made a Spaniard jealous. They were wearing a kind of uniform in the form of dark blue silky overalls with 3/4 sleeves and a deep V-neck.
Ooh, they got that cosmic swag.
Yeah, dog.
Kind of like us, huh? Oh shit. Might have to let them know what's up in a second.
Might have to wear this Iargan drip for a bit. Skinny overalls.
Add it to the store.
Yeah. Under this was a white shirt with a rather old-fashioned high collar around the back of the neck. Under their waist was a broad gold-colored belt, decorated with what seemed to be atom formations, which ran along the edge of the deep V in the neck as well, incorporating, however, still other motifs in its design. That's sick. Atom formations.
Atom, and atom formations. It reminds me of Thyron, how he has the jewels and shit can rub on and shit. But do we have any examples from our side that can match what these guys are wearing?
Examples from our side? Oh.
Like Planetary HQ shit?
Yeah, we do. Actually, in another important contact case, there were a set of clothing materials, extraterrestrial biologics that involved different types, different metamaterials that made up some strange drip.
Ooh.
And we actually got this encoded and sent to us in the form of what looked like Deadrick, but was not Deadrick. He did not film this. And this was the transmission that we received.
I need your attention, everybody. This just in. The New Jersey drones are now over New York, LA, and every major capital on the face of planet Earth. They keep repeating a message over the 6 gigahertz frequency band, and it keeps saying, Planetary HQ has cosmic garments for your physical mechanism. In other words, we got that drip.
Straight from the Galactic Federation wardrobe, these tees vibrate at the frequency of chill. Ribbed knit collars lovingly hug your neck chakra, preventing collar droop across dimensions. Tapered shoulders enhance your interstellar silhouette, perfect for Earth missions and beyond. Dual side seams stabilize your style, ensuring your energy stays aligned even when encountering planetary turbulence. Crafted from 100% classified heirloom combed and ring spun cotton, this featherlight fabric breathes like you're cruising through the astral plane. Ideal for layering beneath your space cloak or relaxing at your Earth base. The tailored retail fit transitions seamlessly from casual Earthling mode to I've got crystals in my pocket and I ain't from here chic, making it essential apparel for your rigorous interdimensional journey.
So check out them shirts. We got a bunch of different colors. Link is in the description. Your contributions directly support spiritual operations on the front line in the battle for truth, beauty, and righteousness. With your help, we can help change the face of planet Earth, and we can look fly while doing it. Okay, now that we can fund the Black Budget Anti-Grav program, let's get back to the show.
And we are back. Yeah, we got that drip. The Iargans got nothing on Planetary HQ, but look, if they got something to show us, if they got a store, let's get the link. They'll send it to us. So that's a challenge to the Iargans.
Yeah, if you read the original Dutch version at the very end, they say the reason why they even came to Earth is because in the future, Planetary HQ is going to have some crazy drip and they wanted to be here for it. So that's one of the reasons why they made contact. I know that was corny as fuck, but we're going with it, guys.
Yeah, so on my screen, for the viewers, they can see, I just got the shop up. We got some different models here. The TR3B Classic. You know what it is. Check it out there. That's you got the classic 60s with, good old Saturday washing off the TR3B. Get that graphic tee.
Let the neighborhood kids drive their bikes around it so they can see what real anti-grav looks like, real cool.
We got 3i Atlas, Project Bluebeam. You already know. Someone's got to criticize NASA because they're boring. On the public face, they're boring, but they're exciting. They're actually exciting, but they won't tell anyone.
We woke up one weekend and we had some boxes from NASA and the NRO, and these shirts were inside of them. We're like, oh, interesting. It's like they wanted to get the message out, but they couldn't be caught selling them. So that's why we have them officially from NASA. 3i Atlas is Project Bluebeam.
Timothy Taylor sent this to us. So the stars are watching.
Fuck, dude. We're bombing, we know, but whatever. We're having fun while doing it.
The classic legacy tee. Anyway, you know what it is, guys. I mean, normally the other couple things that we say here is that we are, trying to take back the planet from the rogue sons of the Anunnaki. So every T-shirt that you buy is, cannon fodder to sacrifice one more Illuminati priestess and just get them out of the running. It's a raffle out here, and these cost like $20 to produce, so we get like $9 profit or something from buying a T-shirt, but all that gets put back into the channel, making content. I'm gonna be headed to Memphis here soon to make more content with Deadrick in person and Tyler
living together.
And we about to get this popping. So that's the store. Check it out. That's currently a direct way to support us. We're gonna read a little bit further here on about the Iargans. Looks like we're about to get into their sex drive, so do not leave the stream. We're gonna talk about this to end out the show, and then you're gonna get a part 2. So stay tuned.
Sexy Iargans.
You got anything else, or should I just continue?
A rip, dog. Let it rip.
All right. So we just ended. They were talking about the V-necks, their drip. The following is text for the picture of the humanoid from Iarga. Humanoid from planet Iarga, which is a little more than 10 light years away from Earth. Although these beings have the same origin and identity as man, and their physique is comparable in many ways, there appear to be many great differences which result from the different planetary conditions. Their planet is larger, the gravity is nearly 3G, and the atmosphere pressure is more than 7 bar with higher nitrogen and ammonia contents than our air. The average wind speed is less than ours, but the denser atmosphere in combination with heavy rains and the higher terminal velocities sometimes cause storms that an unprotected human could not survive. To withstand these conditions, they have a short, compact physique with well-developed muscles, especially the legs, armored skulls, and deep-set eyes. Their darting movements are interposed with periods of rest during which they only move their heads. They walk stiffly with short steps as if they are walking on ice. They were originally amphibians and really belonged in the water. Their bodies are as streamlined as that of a seal and are covered with short, smooth hair like an otter. Their hands and feet are large and broad, and they have webs between their fingers and toes. We could not possibly compete with them in a swimming race. They are capable of killing a small whale sort by ramming it like a torpedo. A group will then tow the catch back to shore. That's interesting. Ancient hunting techniques. So these
are like actual beast otters.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And that's totally backed by the Urantia book, saying that evolutionary species can grow up in water environments. So
yeah, for sure. Their sex drives are different from ours, and they find sex less important, partly because they derive less pleasure from it than we do. All right, humans 1.
Sorry about that.
Them 0. Iargans 0. The population growth is slow, and they lack the sex signals of humans, such as full lips, earlobes, pointed nose, protruding female breasts, and an external male sex organ. That is why it is not necessary for them to cover their bodies as we do. Their reproduction impulse is born of love and not lust. We seem to be abnormal in this respect. Their weak point is the development of their individuality. They do almost everything in groups. tribes. They think collectively, and they obey the laws of their society to the letter. They live for and through the friendship and love
Boring.
within the group. Right.
I just thought
Well,
about that. That
write 'em
makes
off the
sense. Okay,
list.
so if the, if there's less differentiation
Yeah.
in external appearance between male and female, there is less lust in like
Sex
like
attraction. Yeah.
exactly because you guys look exactly the same. But
Mm.
the more different you guys look, the more. I never thought about that. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
the pronounced
Interesting.
features. And it doesn't, Urantia has a quote that says like our sex drives are like somewhat out of balance because the Adamic
Yes, that's the
hybrid
quote I'm thinking.
program like did not fully manifest. And so it's like we have a great appreciation for higher beauty from the Adamic influence and the Anunnaki, but like it didn't get balanced fully, and that also like creates I guess you could say but somewhat of an imbalance in the sex drive. Yeah, there's very interesting correlations here.
Yeah, I'll find the quote in a second. But yeah, so talking about how we inherited the Adamic appreciation for beauty and our sex drive and our sex impulse, but we did not inherit the mind, body, spirit prerequisites which would have led us to discipline in it.
Hmm.
So we got all this, the recognition of sexuality and beauty, but without the mental fortification to keep us back from it. So we just kind of dove into the lust aspect.
Mm. I decided to end the silent confrontation. I'm sorry that it's taken so long to get used to the sight of you. We only have compliments for you. You have remarkable self-control. You demonstrated the same quality with your rescue of our crewmen, for which we would once more like to offer our thanks. Oh, that was nothing. When I see all the technical capabilities at your disposal, I wonder if my help was really necessary. I kind of thought about that too. I'm like, did they really need him, or did he just happen to be there at the right time to like to get in there and then have a reason for them to interact? The value of an unselfish deed cannot in any way be influenced by asking afterwards if it could not have been done in some other way. As a matter of fact, your help came so quickly and efficiently that it would have been impossible for us to have managed it in a shorter time. It was precisely this speed and efficiency that gave us the idea that you could possibly be a man with whom we could communicate. The first communication with a representative of this world. Ooh. Make sure that you realize what this conversation will demand of you. You will be speaking with a race that is far ahead of yours in evolution. This means not only an enormous technical lead, but also the same lead in mental development and inner culture. This last is the most difficult to explain, and yet we must make it dear if you are to understand what social stability represents.
Okay.
You know, it kind of reminds me of like the way, you know, Urantia's written. Sometimes it's like, if you fully understood this, like it almost knows that we're reading this, taking it for granted, and like not like getting how large of an event it is to get like so much revealed in the cosmos, like from, you know, a book or something. It's just that there's multiple times where it's like they're reminding you of the gravity of the state of Earth versus the state of the cosmos and the other civilizations and the heights that we are supposed to be reaching. um you know, it's not like jovial. That's why some people, I think, they feel like it's too serious or too high end or too intellectual. But it's like, yeah, there's, I don't know, it's, I just get a similar thing. Like they've multiple times they've like told him like, look, this is, take this seriously and understand that we're giving you something of great value that, you know, Earth does not see as valuable at this current period of time. We will therefore lead you step by step through the secrets of a highly developed culture, and we will do this by means of a holographic film which will take you to our planet Iarga. We will let you see what the world civilization really means. It will be an interesting experience for you, the value of which is impossible for you to judge at this moment. But what you also cannot judge is the personal danger involved. We know the dangers and will protect you against them. The most important thing for us is to ensure that your freedom of thought is not damaged. Freedom of thought is the essence of humanity, and if we were to damage that, we would, according to our ethics, be committing a crime. Therefore, we will only convey knowledge to you and not convictions. Ooh. We wish no discussions. We will only answer questions when you do not understand something, and we will remain silent when you do not agree with us. We will help you to climb the ladder of knowledge, rung by rung, first to social stability, then to the superculture, and if you can follow this, to the misty heights of cosmic integration. We will only give you knowledge. New knowledge 2026. Iargans are coming back, baby. To the pyramids. We're meeting the Iargans at the pyramids in the gaze of the Sphinx. You must remain free to do with
during
this...
the fall of 2026.
You must remain free to do with this knowledge what you will. If as a result of this knowledge you should find yourself forming any convictions, do so with care. Make sure they are lasting convictions, born of independent creative thinking, and not the sort of passing convictions that the impact of strenuous visual emotions tend to provoke. These pseudo-convictions paralyze individual freedom and make men rigid and dogmatic. Yeah,
we can learn a lot from that.
Knowledge is a material part of the human condition, and, as with all material things, it can be mechanized or automated. We have at our disposal a method of teaching that utilizes a certain type of radiation. This takes place at a speed of which you never dreamed. Above your head, we have fitted one of these radiation reflectors. It makes the spoken word unnecessary to a great extent.
Oh my god, this is ideographic cybernetics. Right here. Fuck yeah, dude.
On the screen in front of you, you will show our explanation in the form of a picture story, the words of which will serve only to direct your attention in a certain direction. We call this fixing the concentration, but the true source of information is the radiation. You do not have to take notes. Information gained through radiation remains locked in memory forever. Nice.
That's crazy. That's exactly what J.J. Hertak's talking about in the keys. He even calls it like radiation or cosmic radiation. Like these light pictures that are radiating from these beings and come into our memory screens. They're using very similar terminology. I'm stoked. I'm excited. And honestly, I feel like this is a great cliffhanger where we can leave it off for the next episode.
Yeah.
UFO contact from Planet Iarga Part 1 in the bag. We're going to get Part 2 and Part 3 popping. Damn, dude, that was sick.
Ooh,
I'm
what's
excited.
He gonna watch
I'm
on this holographic
excited.
display? I'm so excited. I might
Seriously,
even read
man.
ahead. I might end the stream and keep reading. Who knows? Can't stop me.
Yourself. Dude, it just connects with everything. Oh, we got Magma back.
I've been here the whole time.
Oh,
that sexy voice hit us.
He was cloaked. He was cloaked.
I was cloaked eating some wontons. Teriyaki chicken.
Oh, nice. I got Chinese waiting for me downstairs.
There you go. Man,
I go buy some fucking Chinese now.
I freaking love this story. It really tickles the imagination. It's like I want it to be true. I read it. It must have been like 2016 or something like that. I read this, and it immediately stood out in my memory as something very unique. Especially all the data points. I mean, I see already y'all are cross correlating between all sorts of different texts. If it's a work of fiction, it's a good one. I'll give it that.
This is great. I'm excited for next week, dude. I actually want to keep reading this.
My real meter is I think it's real.
Yeah.
I think the only way that it could be fake would be if this person was like a spiritual person who had already read a lot of contact cases and been like, what if I pose a story where instead of focusing on the technology, we focus on the information and the culture? So like, I think that in order to fake the story, they would have had to have that prerequisite in their head, which I guess it could have been a philosopher, spiritual type. And it is weird that, they use a pseudonym. There's other spiritual writers that have done that type of thing. But also I think it feels, real. It resonates with, that idea, the ideas of higher civilization. And Yeah, I guess it's like so far we haven't learned anything that we couldn't have gotten from different sources. So I guess we got to remain open to seeing what unique insights this has. But it's at least in harmony with the spiritual philosophy, which we,
Yeah, it at least kind of plugs into the same scheme of everything else we've been reading that's kind of coherent.
Damn it, I'm looking so hard through the Keys of Enoch because he literally talks about like the phosphine explosions on the inside of the mind, and he uses the word, it's like a television screen where you can watch these
Yeah.
pictograph scenario abstracts get, implanted in. It's interesting. I can't find it exactly, but yeah, pretty much your mind is like an internal little color screen that the celestial intelligences can manipulate and put pictures on. And if you are up to date, if you are progressed enough, the higher intelligence, the space brothers, the aliens, or the angels, a billion different words, call them whatever the fuck you want. They are able to place images on this internal holographic color screen that is in your mind. And this color screen is ancient, divine light technology, ancestral, super advanced, ancient, archaic, celestial light technology. Yeah, I'm saying technology, but it's not made of silicon and plastic. It's made of holographic light images. And this interface, this cosmic light interface, was implanted in you way before you were even alive. So you have an underlying code, a light technology within you that you can access. And if you can access this database, this registry, you can start to pool information, light images, and pictures. The entire cosmos is like a database, and it reacts to stimulus. So let's say if I'm going through something specific on planet Earth and I'm trying to figure it out, it's a very isolated experience. No one on planet Earth is really having this experience. I'm trying to figure out, how do I change this planet? How do I help my brothers and sisters become aware of their relationship with cosmic and celestial reality? How can I get more people to understand who the fuck they are and wake up to these potentials? I'm thinking these thoughts, and these thoughts have a specific mental frequency, and every time I think it, they get blasted off into space like a bat signal. Because space is a big data bank with stars that act as Wi-Fi nodes, and these Wi-Fi nodes are gravitational light energies that hold information. When I think these thoughts, it kind of pings the cosmic data server, and it says, oh, whatever he's going through, let's ping the universe of billion years of information data, and let's see if we can pull any scenarios, any pictographs that are closely related to what he's going through. And it might seem like hardship, like Einstein's trying to figure out the theory of relativity. Day in, day out, he's thinking, he wants to know, and the universe is understanding this. And finally, at the end of 7 days, 2 weeks of thinking, an image gets dumped into his mind and he sees it. And you can even read Einstein's fucking journals and other great inventors. They say, it seems like after thinking about it for a couple of days, the universe will place the answer in my mind. Okay, that's you using your internal color screen, a cosmic ancient technology, to ping the cosmic database, and the database will retrieve the images for you because somebody else a billion years ago has lived a scenario close to you. Someone else in a far galaxy, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, has experienced something similar to you. So you can ping that and you can get those images if you are perceptive, if you have the spiritual prerequisites. So I hope those words were able to unlock something within you. You have this ability. So access it, baby. You're a cosmic divine being, and I'm just here to help you realize it. After you realize it, you can run your own race. Planetary HQ, baby.
Heck yeah. And another thing, I'll add about that, the holographic light code, ancient divine, being that sort of volunteers in your mind and works directly with you, is that we love UFO contact stories because they're unique. They're like 3D beings that, we could go in a spaceship. It's really cool. But again, like Deadrick's pointing out, you have something far more transcendent within you that is trying to communicate with you every day, but also follows this law of free will in that they don't like give more than you're willing to ask for. They don't change your thoughts unless you're trying to harmonize and synchronize and ask them what they think about how you should operate on planet Earth. And so that is your higher self. That is the divine spark within. That is like a real, like thing that exists on its own, that can exist on its own without you. You can live and die a whole life not paying attention to it, and it will go on to experience something else. Or you can live, with that being in harmony, and it can take you to the stars and beyond. So that is your number one goal on planet Earth, to make contact with, to check in with every day, that inner spark. Check it out in the Urantia papers. It's called the Thought Adjuster. Look up that term. Planetary HQ, Triosophy, Mind, Body, Spirit. Let's go meet some aliens. Let's go meet the inner alien, the higher self.
Hey,
let's take back the planet.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Magma Iargan, bring us out, dog.
This is exciting. This story might be real. But regardless, the most important thing that you can derive from a story like this is the lessons of spiritual development and social development, and personal development. You are the only person that will exist in all of time and space, in your current position, with your current abilities and your unique personality. So make the most of it.
Make the most